That's why we hang out.
Jeanette, we're live.
We're like, weekends.
You'll have to excuse us. Jeanette had the case of the booze sweats.
The booze sweats.
Is that related to menopause?
I don't know. It just. Oh my god! If it is, I'm gonna be.
It sounds kind of hot flashes.
Guys, I know, right? I'm gonna be a freaking mess.
You'll be like, "Damn it! I'm too young.
I'm too young. Damn it!"
I'm gonna pour my tequila in my little terracotta cup that I commandeered last night.
Dude, it was kind of funny because you could see the terracotta getting like
stays
wet
cold.
on the bottom.
I know it stays crazy cold though. And then I was, look. It's bad enough that I brought my own bottle of tequila because they're like BYOB. Well, not BYOB, but if you wanted other stuff, bring. So I was like, okay, I'll bring my own tequila. That's cool. Which that's a good Corlejo. And I was like, why do I like that so much? Well, the reason I like it so much is because it's reposado, and I like a good reposado tequila. And then so I mean, I didn't. It's bad enough I already brought my own tequila. Then I didn't want to be that guy drinking from the bottle.
Out in public anyway.
In public anyways. So I was
in
like,
private, it's all right.
All right, I won't drink from the bottle. And then, well, yeah. So then I'm starting looking for cups, and there's like no cups. So I don't know what they're using. These little terracotta, is it like a little boss, like a little baby boss.
Yeah, were they everywhere on the tables? Maybe was it a centerpiece?
Maybe it was a centerpiece. Maybe they had little candles in them. But I mean, started putting ice in there, and I was like, all right, that'll hold tequila. Oh, I'm down. You know what I mean? They had like little tiny ones that were the shots of shot glasses. They gave those to the girls for shot glasses. I was like, well, all right.
Well, they're drinking out of them.
They're drinking out of them, but theirs were fancy. This one's like very rough, very antique-ish. Again, you know what? When you're in a situation, sometimes you just have to like improvise. Like
You thought fast.
I thought fast. I was thinking on my feet. Get the terracotta cups there, vases, whatever you want to call. Actually, they sell these with like that chili salt for micheladas.
Oh, nice.
You can buy it. You could. I have one in my office that somebody gave me. I don't know what to do with it. I guess you put beer in it and it's ready for like a michelada.
Holy crap!
And you drink
Where
it
do
out
you
of that.
get that?
I don't know. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah. Hey.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't know what this is. I think this is episode 19.
Oh, I have lost count.
We're working our way up. We're moving on up.
Finally.
I know, right? Dario's got a bit of a break today. So I'm trying to get back on my tequila thing. Because ever since that one trip to El Paso, Texas, and I was ordering like Patron and stuff. I don't know what they gave me, and I didn't drink a lot, but it wrecked me. Yeah,
like you're thinking it was like some like less than maybe Jose Cuervo.
Something bad.
Oh,
I don't know.
Will wreck you.
And so ever since then, I've you kind of lose the taste of the thing you're drinking. So I haven't really gotten back into drinking tequila again.
You're a little scarred.
I'm a little scarred. So I've been. I was like, okay, Corlejo is the one I always liked. So let me kind of ease my way back in. And you know how that goes. You like when that happens to you, or you get like really sick on something. You're like, I never want to drink that again.
It took me 10 years to start drinking vodka again.
Really, 10 years.
It was a dirty drink that I drank. I think I was barely 21, and
wow,
like you don't know shit when you're 21.
When I was young, I went all out on this brand of tequila called Montezuma tequila, and then it was
It just sounds so terrible. Never buy anything that says Montezuma.
I know anything that says Montezuma. You go to like a little convenience store in Mexico called Montezuma, and then exactly right. And then it's like in a plastic bottle, and I don't know, like hard liquor in a plastic bottle, like it takes the flavor of the plastic in the liquor.
No, that's what happened when I bought Crystal Palace when I was. That's how I hated vodka, but I didn't know. I was really stupid.
We're young. We don't know anything, but I think everybody has, I think, a story where they're drinking as a youngster. They didn't know any better. And it's like a learning moment. It's like an NBC commercial. Dun, dun, dun. The more you know.
Yeah, the more you know.
The more you know.
Do you know that when you make a dirty what is it? The tequila sunrise? Not a tequila sunrise. What was it? It's a screwdriver.
Yeah.
With vodka and orange juice. Oh, this was bad. It was like
real. It's like hard to miss. It's hard to mess that up.
Oh no, it was so easy.
Oh, speaking of which,
we're
gonna do dirty mimosas. That's gonna be a thing. We're gonna try the dirty mimosas. Okay.
Are we really?
Yeah, we're gonna try that.
Can we do it next weekend?
Yeah, let's do next weekend.
It's like a 3-day weekend. We should do that.
No, I'm going.
Damn.
Trip.
Oh, yeah,
Trip.
I forget. I forget.
Okay.
Okay. So the weekend after to celebrate your trip.
Okay, yeah.
And we could do a dirty mimosa
I'm going
Saturday.
to Monterey, Mexico.
Yes.
And reached out to somebody out there. And I said, hey, I'm going to come to town, and, I was hoping I could, go out and have fun and whatnot. And maybe catching the sights and just see, like, if you're cool, if I like Monterey, I'll come back again.
Yeah.
Bought the ticket. Well, when I first looked up the ticket, it was $150.
Yeah.
And then we waited, and then she finally told me, like, okay, these 2 weeks are good. And I was like, okay, boom, I need to buy a ticket. I bought a ticket like 2 weeks out.
Oh.
Maybe like 10 to 14 days out, which I usually go to cheapo.com.
Yeah.
And by that point, they were already up like $300 and up, $300 to like
shoot.
$900, because it was,
It's already closer to the time.
right. So I was like, well, but I went to the Mexican airline company that, because it tells you what airline, because there was like a $200 ticket there, but it wouldn't let me buy it on Cheapo because I think it was like one of the last tickets or the last seats. So I couldn't buy it on the third party website. I used Cheapo.
Yeah.
So I went straight to the website and I got it for $200.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you bought it straight from the airline.
Bought it straight from there, like Vivint or something like that.
Yeah.
So again, I'll drive to like to El Paso.
Yeah.
And
like you did last time?
I actually have a friend I have two friends that live on that side of town, so I might ask them to if I can leave my truck at their house.
Yeah.
And just take an Uber from there, because it's like it's like a $7 Uber drive to the bridge, walk across the bridge,
Yeah.
and it'll be another $7 Uber drive to the airport.
That's not bad.
Dude.
That's really not bad at all.
Dude.
I think you got it figured out.
Dude, world traveler out of the Juarez airport. Juarez, Mexico. Representing Juarez.
I know. We're gonna have to go on one of your adventures.
But it kind of goes to what we were talking about goal setting.
Yeah.
I know this was a late goal of mine, but once I got it in my mind, I was like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I kind of started projecting that out, kind of projecting what I want to do. I started looking up skydiving out there. I want to maybe see if I can go do a skydiving while I'm out there. We'll see.
Dude, that would be nice.
That'd be kind of cool, right?
Yeah. It feels like it's in my face.
Yeah, and then you can like turn it. You can even turn this right here.
I think
like,
it's okay.
Mike's. I mean, that's modern technology for you.
I know.
Spring-loaded little boom arm there. I know, right? I've had these for years and know why I had them. It's like, I'm going to use them one day. One day I'm going to use them.
I like it.
It works. We got the little skeleton guy that's been on the journey with us forever.
I need when I go on my deal adventures, I see if we can find a bar table. That's like a real one. Like a real one.
Oh, you actually want something nice.
Something for cheap. Someone's going to get rid of it.
God.
I live in like
what do you
apartment
What do
complex.
you use to like? Where do you go buy stuff cheap? Nice stuff cheap.
Well, I should look at the dumpster first.
I know.
No, I'm serious. People move in and out of our complex all the time. My friend, I swear, has been like, she found a really nice rocking chair, dude.
Dude,
they just left it by the dumpster.
When I was dirt poor, I was living in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and dude, I don't know how I was able to afford it back then on the money I was making. Mm-hmm. Again, by myself, my dogs in a house, and but I used to like drive around town doing deliveries, all this stuff. And one of my last deliveries was like to a grocery store in a really nice part of town. Like, I think it's called Tenowan, like a really nice area. And right next to the grocery store I would go to, there was a Goodwill.
I love Goodwill.
And then the Goodwill had the drop boxes right there in the back, right where you would drive by for deliveries.
Yeah.
And so I would be leaving Smith. It would be late in the evening because I was on my last stop. And I'd always stop by. And finally, one day I was like, people are leaving nice junk out here. What the heck? Like, and that's like, for that period of time, I lived off the Goodwill there in Albuquerque. Like, couldn't afford anything else. I was like, oh, dude, vacuum cleaner dogs. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, this is the most amazing vacuum cleaner ever. And then everything, like just,
Dude, you can find all kinds of good stuff.
Then there was a recycling bin right there. Because, again, it's the nice part of town.
Yeah.
There was a recycling bin. And there was like the glass bin, which is like one of those big construction bins.
Yeah.
Filled to the top with like wine bottles every week. Every week filled to the top with wine bottles. Like,
wine bottles.
I was like,
Like,
a whole bunch of winos out here.
I'm not even sure what to think.
I
My
can-
mind is like, what side hustle can I do that would require
That much glass.
That much glass. Like you'd have to like do art or melting glass
I
or
was like,
something.
I wonder if I could go just chill there with the homeless guys and just try to sip out the last drops of wine from all the
my
bottles. There'd be
God.
collectively enough wine in all of them to get a buzz.
At least a bottle of wine.
I bet there was probably at least one homeless guy trying that. Like,
Yeah, this one has a little bit left.
he's like, I put a little water and swish it around the bottle and get everything out of there. God, that's gross.
It is gross. No, that's just like really, really just scraping the bottom of the barrel for sure.
Hey, there's something.
I've been poor. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. If you're a college student,
Yeah,
and you're
absolutely.
like, you're just like poor, eating ramen, or you're buying a loaf of bread because it's 99 cents, and you're maybe putting some
right.
cheese and mayo or something ridiculous.
There's something to be said about being poor. Mm-hmm. Being poor, being
You
going
get
through hard
creative.
times, right?
You get creative.
Being homeless, and you have an appreciation for things later.
Yeah.
Man, paying your bill, trying to be a little bit more, considerate and all that stuff.
Thinking ahead and
Yeah.
planning for the future, because if you've been poor, you definitely don't want to be there again,
Right.
because it's a tough
Well,
reality.
It's funny because we could talk about this, like being poor, it's a tough reality. You and I don't know, like it's been 10, 12, it's been about 14 years since the housing market crashed in the United States. Mm-hmm. The bailouts. 14
Yeah.
years ago, what are you now, like 65?
Jeez.
70? I don't know. You hold together really well.
Wow, that's amazing.
30s?
Yes.
30s, like mid-30s?
Oh yeah, mid-30s.
No,
for
you're
sure.
close to my age, actually. So you're probably like in your early
40.
20s.
Early 20s.
Like, yeah, early
Yeah, I
20s?
was in my, I know,
Or
I was
early or
in-
mid 20s?
No, I was in my 30s.
In
when it
2008?
happened.
Okay, so you're in your 30s already when that. Okay, so you're in your 30s when that happened, when the housing crisis happened, and like, we live in a time of amnesia.
Where we forget.
People forget. People have really short-term memory, and a part of it's the way we're programmed now. We live in a time with mainstream media. It's all about sound bites.
Well, it's always about like the next thing to
The
keep
next
us
clip,
entertained.
right?
We're
and
always
the-
looking for something that we hadn't seen.
And the
or
media
something
can
new.
focus on one topic. They can
Yeah.
focus on a topic and they can keep it, but they don't like. I think if there's an agenda and they want to keep the limelight out of something, off a topic, say like Hunter Biden,
Mm-hmm.
they'll put everything else they can to avoid Hunter Biden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they'll do a lot of it because of course there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. But so like I say, we live in a time of amnesia. We tend to forget stuff quickly. 2008, the housing market, boom, it just exploded. People were literally going homeless overnight. Like overnight. And
I remember that to a point where it affected one of our clients' families, and I just remember it was so sad because like everything happened to them all at the same time.
Well,
They were like,
I think it probably affected a lot more people than we realized.
I think
Do you
so
know what
too,
I mean?
but I think that I hadn't really seen it or really knew anybody because, I mean, in reality, at that time, any of my friends, they weren't buying
Well,
houses or they didn't have houses.
So
or
our part of the country, we're always considered insulated in our part of the country where we're at. It's growing. There's a lot of stuff coming through here, Mexico and all that stuff. But I've always been told that we're insulated from like if there's a housing crisis going on in LA, we don't feel it right away.
yeah,
If there's like something's going on in other
gas
parts,
prices are super high.
We don't feel it right away.
Feel it later, but
Later.
it never is like as high as
it never
other
is
states.
extreme.
Yeah, it's never
So-
that extreme.
So yeah, so we so I think it's possible that a lot more people than we knew probably were affected by it.
Probably.
Maybe not to the extreme of like inner city Detroit, Baltimore,
Yeah.
LA and all that stuff. But so you think about that and you think about like where the world's going right now. It's like possible, they're trying to balance out the recession right now. Did you hear about the major housing crisis in China? The banking crisis going on in China?
You know
Dude.
what's funny is not funny, but I've actually
Like-
stopped reading
like
the news.
Funny, like haha, like a clown.
Funny is that I used to wake up every morning and look at what's been going on in the news, right?
Right,
Or I'd wake up early and watch the news.
right.
I don't know what's happened in the last 2 months.
But
I
it's
stopped.
kind of nice though. Like when
I need to
when
get
you
back
when
at
you
it.
unplug for a while, you can hear your own thoughts again, and you just kind of start enjoying the little things again.
Well, yeah, I pretty much have stopped, and then I realized I was like, hey, thinking to myself, when was the last time you watched the news, or other than listening to radio,
Right.
or with like where they'll say something like, oh, there was a shooting at this
Right.
street, which I found out most recently last weekend. There was a shooting near my area.
Right.
I didn't even know. I didn't even hear it.
Well, we could talk about that in a minute.
I didn't even hear it.
So, like, we could talk about that a bit. But yeah, so I think, like in China, there's a major. My phone's just buzzing away. So many notifications. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram.
You see, you're
something else.
definitely not unplugged. You're plugged
I'm
in.
overly plugged in
You're plugged in.
to the max. I'll probably get like YouTube notification in a minute, but no, but like in China, there's kind of like a housing bubble there. They're building. There's tons of buildings being built.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's renting, just empty buildings. And the market's on fire. So you had a bunch of people in China investing in housing. They're putting their life savings in this. And I think I might have mentioned this before. So they're investing in all this. And then you have people that were putting their money into savings accounts in China.
Mm-hmm.
But what was happening, the money wasn't being put into a savings account. The banks were intentionally putting them into investments accounts.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I think it was one of the largest mortgage companies in China.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think here. People, I don't know if people couldn't afford to pay the mortgages anymore. And so there was like a major mortgage crisis going on there. And then there's a problem with the housing market because they're building so much and there's no demand. Mm-hmm. So it's like their housing market's kind of collapsing. Mm-hmm. And there was a scare. People were getting scared like that this is going on. So they wanted to go get money out of the bank.
Oh my God.
And so there was a banking run. So people start going to the banks. They start taking out their money, but the banks don't have the money.
Yeah, because they've.
So there's a thing called fractional lending. Have you heard of this? Banks only keep about 10% of the cash.
Actually, I have heard this.
I've
heard, but I didn't know if that's what it was called. But yes, I've understood this.
Yeah, so they only keep about 10% of the cash that's on the books, on hand. So, and what they do with the other 90% is they turn around and loan it out. Mm-hmm. So, if they get $100, they'll actually keep $10, assuming that you might need $10 and withdraw it. Mm-hmm. And then they'll loan out the other 90%, knowing that they can order more money. And I have a friend that works in the bank, and he always tells me how they order money and da da da.
Yeah.
But there's a thing called fractional lending. So it allows a bank to lend 10 times the amount of money that they really have. Mm-hmm. And then people start paying that back and whatever. They start making more money off of that. So that's called fractional lending, and that that was going on there too. But they were going like even more extreme than just 10%, keeping 10% cash. They're maybe 5%. They're keeping like 5% cash. So like
and then everyone wants to withdraw their cash.
So people are freaking out about the economy. So people are going to the banks, and the banks don't have the cash flow. Right. And this is all over the country. Mm-hmm. And this wasn't really it wasn't really kind of very well covered on our media, which is kind of bizarre because China, I don't know if they're the number one economy. They're certainly the number two, but they're a global economy.
Yeah.
And just like how when we had the market crash here in the United States, it affected the rest of the world, they'll affect the rest of the world too. And so people were like protesting. They were like going to the banks and like having these big old protests, and the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party, rolls out the tanks, rolls out the military.
That's crazy.
And it kind of reminded me of the whole Tiananmen Square thing again. And remember Tiananmen Square? Most people in China don't even know what that is anymore.
Really?
They've done such a good job censoring that from everything. There was a video online where I wish I remember what it was, where they took pictures from Tiananmen Square and they showed like students in college today in China and said, "Hey, what do you think this picture is?" And they're like, "I don't know." And they're like, looks like, like pictures of kids that were protesting something they believe in. And like, yeah, they showed the tank man, the guy that had grocery bags, was standing in front of the tanks, the column of tanks going to Tiananmen Square. Like, what do you think of this guy? And they're like, wow, this guy's brave, standing in front of tanks, just holding grocery bags. And all the students are like, that's amazing. And they're like, what is this? Where does this go? Where did this happen at? And they're like, that happened here in China, Tiananmen Square, in like 1989, I think it was.
Wow.
And the students were like, they were like, that happened here? I mean, it just goes to show, like, the Chinese successfully censored the largest democratic movement ever. Out of the history. It's like a forced amnesia upon their population. A quarter of the quarter of the world population. You know what I mean?
That's bizarre.
It's bizarre.
Yeah,
a lot of people, they don't know that. And now you had something that's very replicated, but based off because people want their money. People lost like their life savings. And so what happened in China was people that they have like their form of FDIC. We have our form of FDIC. They cover you up to like $100,000, something like that. They had their form of that. And they were trying to get their money, like they thought was protected. And then the Chinese government said, well, your money was in an investment account. It wasn't in a savings account. It's only saving accounts that are covered by, this banking insurance.
Yeah.
And people were like upset about that because they're like, well, we didn't know our money went to an investment account. We came to open a savings account. And then the Chinese Communist Party response was, that's your fault. You didn't read the fine print.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
that is so backhanded.
They had to come out and tell people like, okay, we'll insure some of your money. We'll give you like if you lost like $100,000, you'll be eligible for something like $10,000.
Jeez.
So a lot of people lost like their entire savings. This is all going on in China. It's all going on right now. It's still going. I mean, I don't know if they're still protesting, but it's still ongoing. And so you talk about like what's going on in Taiwan right now, because you know what's going on in Taiwan. Nancy Pelosi went. We just sent some more politicians there. And then they just went, to talk about business stuff with Taiwan. And so you have China militarizing the show of force against Taiwan. And one of the things I was reading is like, wars cost a lot of money.
Well, yeah, it's a money making business too.
Well, it's a money making business, but for a country that's paying for it, it does the opposite. It drains your bank accounts. You'll go broke. And so a lot of so some of the analysts are saying like China can't afford to go to war right now. Their economy, it's not in shambles, but like this whole housing market and all that, what's going on right now, I don't know if they can afford to go to war. I mean, of course, the Communist Party at the end of the day, they may say, we don't care. We're going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
We'll issue everybody IOUs.
That's ridiculous, which wouldn't be surprising if they did that.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. Well, I mean, I think a lot of the news that we get, unless you're actually like tuned in to like NPR or like, what is it, another like BBC or something like that. If you're not actively looking for the news, the shit that's going to show up on your news feed is freaking Jennifer Lopez marrying freaking Ben Affleck. That's so ridiculous.
Dude.
Or, hey, did you know
that's not Jennifer.
Is it Bennifer?
Is it Bennifer? Is it?
Yeah.
I think.
Just look at your news feed and you tell me what the freaking headlines are. I'm just curious.
I try to text myself stuff, and I know there's stuff I text myself that I wanted to remember.
Well, at least they're talking about Omicron COVID. Oh, but now it's like Lady Gaga revives her Club Kid era for teenage dirtbag.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus, you see, this is why Americans are idiots. And I'm sorry, guys, but I mean, I'm saying I'm a part of that idiot population because of the crap that our phones are telling us. I'm just going through my messages to myself, but you know what? I haven't kept a lot of notes lately. So that sucks, guys. We should be doing better for ourselves. Yeah, I haven't kept a lot of notes recently on things in the news. It's probably written down on my desk, but
I keep a little notepad, but yeah, I didn't I didn't I didn't take a lot of notes on a lot of stuff, unfortunately. But yeah, so that's all going on in the world right now. Ukraine's still going on. I mean, I don't know how many days, months it's been now. It's been more than 6 months.
It's been a while.
Dude, I remember when that happened, we thought Ukraine was going to be overrun in like 4 weeks.
I'm surprised it's even gone on this long.
But they're actually pushing the Russians back now.
I think it's crazy that...
Yeah.
I mean, we were just surprised. We're like, I can't even believe people are actually going to war now. Like,
well, you know...
How do you just decide to take over a country?
Well, here's what's funny about Ukraine. And, anybody that's listening to our age remembers the Cold War.
Yes.
Soviet Union was one of the superpowers.
We grew up in the Cold War era,
right?
Where we were, remember we used to have drills,
right? And so
get under your desk. I mean, we used to have all kinds of drills for potential bombing.
What's curious is like maybe the USSR is not the superpower that we thought they were in terms of modern warfare. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have a country that I think was like size of Texas, maybe, or maybe a little bit bigger than size of Texas, and that's like the largest country in Europe outside of the Soviet Union, bigger than France, bigger than Spain, and they thought the Soviet Union was going to like just roll over them. They have like stealth fighters, they have these new tanks and all that stuff, and Ukraine has been destroying them. Ukraine estimates Soviet Union has probably lost between 40 and 50,000 soldiers, more than the United States has lost in 10 years of war between Iraq and Afghanistan.
Wow.
And just in a matter of months. And they're actually striking back at them now, like, in the Crimea and all that. And it's kind of curious, like, is the USSR as big as superpowers we thought they were?
It just seems like they were just being big bullies about it.
What they still have, though, they still have their big stick, which is they have nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. And so they'll always have that nuclear deterrent because they always have more nuclear warheads than we do. Mm-hmm. They always, we had like this nuclear disarmament agreement with them, but we were never sure of like how many quite they disarmed, or you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So, but they do have like a lot of nuclear warheads, and they're talking about like how in Belarus they're arming. They've modified their fighter planes to carry nuclear, ballistic missiles and stuff like that. And it's just kind of crazy. And again, I was listening to analysts talk about this. And he goes, "We can't enforce a no-fly zone in Ukraine because we were enforcing a no-fly zone in Iraq and in Serbia, and we had a hard enough time doing it there."
Want to try one of these?
Yeah, and in Ukraine, the border there with Russia, the border there with Russia is like 5, 6, 7 times bigger than it was in Iraq, and they're like before we could even do a no-fly zone in Russia, we have to take out their surface-to-air missiles. So now we're suddenly bombing in Russia. And then that means we have to put forward observers on the ground. So we would actually have to have troops on the ground. And this analyst says, like, that's why it makes it so hard. Because, like, once you get that involved, you start doing those things, it kind of starts looking like World War III. And I think that's what they're all trying to avoid. It's, like, kind of scary. And, Russia's making deals with North Korea about bringing North Korean troops in, too. Like, it's kind of a scary time because you don't know what's going to happen. My brother's going to get deployed to somewhere in the Middle East. And I'm all thinking, well, Middle East doesn't seem as crazy as it was, but you never know. Like in drop of a...
Your brother's getting deployed?
Yeah, he's going to be sent out to Saudi Arabia. They still do rotations out there. I think he's going to be at an embassy out there somewhere in the Middle East. Wow. I don't know if it's going to be Kuwait or Saudi Arabia or somewhere out there, but, he's going to be out there. And I was just like, you just don't know, like, with the state of the world.
Yeah.
Like, with the drop of the hat, something could happen.
It's wild, yeah. That's true.
And right now, more than ever. Like, right now, more than ever. Between, like, what's going on with China and Taiwan and Ukraine, it could just all blow up that much faster.
It really could.
It really could. And it's funny because we're in our little old world here.
Yeah. It's a little bubble. I'm not going to lie.
We kind of are. I think...
We are
the majority of Americans, they want to go to work.
Yeah.
They want to just they want to make some money, be able to feed their kids.
I want to drink Absolute Mango Mule.
I know, right? Let me try this.
Yeah, try it. It has ginger. I wasn't sure about the ginger,
Oh,
but I
that's
don't
delicious.
hate it.
That's delicious. Oh, that's really delicious. What is it again?
It's Absolute Mango Mule.
Absolute Mango Mule. That's really
Made
good.
with Absolute vodka.
That is super good. You always have these like delicious little drinks, like girl drinks. Guys, if you're gonna have ladies over, come have some of these. I know I save some of your other drinks, so I ever have guests over, I always have them in my fridge.
If you ever have the ladies over, you're like,
hey ladies,
these are ladies.
These are delightful. Keep wine, keep those.
Nice.
The Vivos, what do you call those?
Oh yeah, the Vizzies.
Vizzies.
Those are good. Those are really good.
But
I like to try different ones.
I think you have to. I mean, I like to pull out some of the old stuff, but that was just like a last minute thing. I just grabbed. I saw. I was like, that's like Old Reliable there.
Old Reliable.
It is.
I just wanted to try something different.
Nice.
You never know when you're going to discover the next best thing.
So, you know what I've been what do you call that when you watch binging? You know what I've been binging lately?
What?
Kind of an old program. Ooh.
Oh, like The Sopranos or something?
I did that for a minute.
Okay. Oh, let me guess. Entourage.
No, but I did binge Entourage hard. I love Entourage.
Entourage is great. Honestly, I thought it was hilarious.
Entourage speaks to the douchebag in me.
Aww.
Jeremy Piven? Is it Pippin or Piven?
Yeah, I can see that. You are a douchebag just like that guy.
I love that guy.
You are a douchebag just like that guy.
But he's a guy from our generation.
Yeah,
he was in the movie. He was in movies during our age and all that.
He was in what was that one movie where he's in college, and then it has
Old School. He was the dean in Old School. Yes,
he was. But no, there was one where he was actually a college student, and I don't know what the hell he was doing, but they were holding like these fraternity parties. I can't even tell you.
Hold on, I gotta look this up.
Have you seen it?
No, maybe.
And it has another actor in there, and I forget his name, but he's all wearing dreads and shit.
Piven, not Pippin, but
no,
Piven.
Not Piven.
Piven,
not Pippin.
Okay, movies and TV shows. Like I say, another great actor that came out of our time. Mm-hmm. A college show. Let me see. He's done Entourage.
No, it's not.
Dude, Serendipity.
I've seen Serendipity.
He did a good job in Serendipity. There's one called PCU.
Yes, PCU.
That's it. Was that good?
Yeah, it's actually. I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
Who's in there? David Spade's in there. John Favor, Chris Young, Jessica Walter, George Clinton. Really?
Yes, there's this part where they have this party and they invite George Clinton to play. And I don't know, George Clinton is one of those bands that just so funky. Like I like George Clinton.
Yeah.
I love
got the funk. PCU, I'm just looking at the pictures. I don't recognize the actors. I don't recognize the I don't recognize the pictures.
On. It's entertaining.
I'll have to watch it.
It's just dumb entertainment, but I like it. It's funny.
But Jeremy Piven,
I like funny stuff.
He's got a broad range. He could play a lot of different roles. And
well, you know what it is about him? He just seems like a smart guy. Mm-hmm. And he has a quirky. It's not quirky sense of humor.
What?
It's a peculiar sense of humor.
He does.
But it's appealing because it comes out of like intelligence.
If he was not as intelligent as I thought he is, I would be disappointed.
I would be super disappointed. Like I would be like, are you really this dumb? He doesn't come off that way at all.
No, he doesn't. And I think that's probably one of the things that lends to him being a great actor because he probably really knows how to study and really takes his role. You know what I mean?
Smarts.
He has some intelligence. The way he enunciates when he speaks, you know what I mean? It's just he's a good speaker and just a great actor overall. I really Entourage. I thought for him, Entourage was like perfect for his role.
Entourage was. It's a really good show for people who haven't watched it. I like the idea that, okay, so this guy is this actor.
Based off the life of Marky Mark, though.
Yeah, but you know what I like about it is the fact that, what would you do? Here you are, like, making it. What do? You invite your friends to, like, hang out and basically pay them
your
and give them
entourage.
roles.
I know, right? I would totally do that.
Like, hey, like, I have a role for you. Like, hey, will you do
Jeanette,
this?
I need you to be my manager, Jeanette.
Dude, I would totally do it. We'd hang out.
I can only pay you with
Absolutely.
absolute mango mules, but I need you to take care of all
I
that.
would consider it. Just, do I have a place
And
to
then I
stay?
could see you
Could
being,
have
I could see you
meals
being there
and-
with Dario and be like, Dario, go get Mark's dry cleaning. Like, why do I have
Why
to?
do I have to? Why do I always have to do the dry cleaning?
Like, damn it, Dario, just go.
Well, you're the what is it? You're the one who's in charge of the house. You're the one.
Oh my
who's
God,
hired,
Matt Dillon's in that.
Yes.
The Dillon brothers. Jeez. But yeah, Entourage was.
That's why I like it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like you're
Matter of
hanging out
fact,
with your buddies.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna binge that again. But no. Speaking of binging, so
Okay, so which one did you binge?
okay, think about our roles. What we do. We're in leadership positions. We oversee a lot of people, patients, employees.
Oh my God! Either you're binging Scrubs
I like Scrubs.
or you're binging. I love The Office.
I
hilarious.
started watching The Office on YouTube.
It's so ridiculous.
It is.
I love it.
And I
It's
could
so
see
ridiculous.
that. I could see The Office really. I could see our office the way you and I were working together.
Yeah,
totally being like that.
office.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Like the stupid stuff we said and did. Totally like that, right?
Yes, it was. So I mean, okay, so
No. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you because
Just you have to tell me.
you're having a blonde moment. No, I'm Undercover Boss.
oh, nice.
I've been taking away so much from that.
yeah.
I really have. It's I didn't think I was gonna like it because it's a reality show.
Yeah.
Not my thing. I'm like, blah 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 blah.
It either goes in a couple of ways. Like I like the fact that sometimes the bosses they don't really know what it is that their workers are doing on the ground level.
Or when they do something on the ground level, and they're like this is hard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And or they get to know their employees and the employees, and this as I do. Once you start talking to your employees, how some of them just completely open up to you, and you're just like, you're left with your jaw open, like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. And so all that, it's very realistic. So what's going on with Undercover Boss, and a lot of takeaways. Just like how some of these CEOs and whatnot, how they're like, oh man, like some of our employees have really good ideas. Some of our employees are underrepresented. Some of our employees are a lot of them are like our employees are underappreciated. They don't feel like they're rewarded. They don't feel like they're paid well. Just like so many different things. And then even like the way this one guy, he started his own like clothing company. He's like, talking to this girl, and she's like, well, we weren't trained on customer service. We weren't told to have good customer service because it's all about getting them out as fast as we could. Don't talk to them. And he's like,
Wow.
and the CEO that stresses guide, he's just like, why would you not? You want these people to have a good experience.
And you want them to come back.
But they and how he's trying to learn from that. And then also how they try to change the environment so their employees feel like they're part of something, they feel appreciated. And a lot of that stuff is just, this last week has kind of really stuck with me. Now I can't cut a check to somebody and be like, here, let me pay for your kid's college and buy you a house for $250,000. And all
Yeah.
that. Can't do that, obviously. But again, just some of those concepts have really stood out in my mind. It's like, all right, we have certain obligations at work. We're responsible for the health of our company, growth, all this good stuff. But it's like, again, the frontline employees, the unthanked workers. It's like, what? Just making that connection, like, okay, I got to reevaluate this. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've really taken a lot away, and of course I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't got time for TV and all that. But you know what though? Watch a couple of Undercover Bosses and just kind of take note of their takeaways, and I think irregardless of what business you're in, maybe not all business, I don't know, but you might find something that you can correlate to what you're doing and be like, oh, this is a good idea. Oh, I haven't thought about that lately. What kind of leader am I, and what am I doing to like show my employees that I care about them. I really appreciate them. I trust their opinion and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And so I've really listened to a lot of that, taking note of it, and like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
I
like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Not all TV's trash. Not all reality TV's trash. Now, if I told you to go watch The Real World, or if you told me to go watch, Jersey Shore, Jeanette, I would tell you to go to hell. He's like, Mark, you got to watch Jersey Shore. The orange look would look good on you. Like, okay.
I never watched that show, nor do I have the desire to watch that show.
I don't believe it. I think you're a
I've
total
never
Jersey
watched
Shore
it.
chick.
No.
I think you're all about the Jersey Shore.
No.
Mark, let's go watch Jersey Shore. It's like, damn it, Jeanette.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Well, who's that one guy? Rick, not Rick James, but he was a singer that came out for a while. He'd be like, okay.
Oh my God. It's funny. What the heck is his name? Lil Wayne?
Lil Wayne. Okay.
He has on HGTV, he has a show about Lil Wayne and his remodeling style. Like,
Really?
yeah, and he pulls it off.
Wow.
But he thinks big. Like, he's like telling people like, well, if you do this and made like a bar, and then his ideas come because he like travels everywhere, and then he'll like randomly call the person he partners with and says, oh, well, when I was like in China, like there was this cool bar I went to, and I have this idea for like the Johnson's home, or whatever. And he's like, I'm thinking that we should do something like that. And she's just like, how is this gonna work? And like she has to somehow make it work. And then like he becomes obsessive over like the house.
Really?
And he's like super involved, but he drives her up the wall because he's calling her at all hours of the night.
Oh my gosh.
And he's super involved, even though sometimes, he's going from place to place.
That's awesome.
It's actually...
That's awesome.
Yeah, I forget what this show is called, but it's actually... I watched a couple of episodes. I'm like,
Lil
dude, this
Wayne.
guy. Yeah, Lil Wayne.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's cool. I'm expecting to hear you say like stripper poles, but it's funny you say like China bar Chinese and all that. I remember when I was in New York, there was a speakeasy I went to.
Oh, nice.
And it's one of those experiences where you like walk into a restaurant and you go through a door, like a door you don't see. And then you go down like some random stairs, like just like a small little stairwell going to another like part of the restaurant.
Yeah.
And you cut across through here and through another door that you didn't know was there. And then you go up another flight of stairs. Now you're on the second floor. And then you go through another random door and you're like in this Asian bar. And it was beautiful.
Weird.
It was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like like very oriental design.
Yeah.
The artwork and all that stuff.
So you went to a speakeasy with an oriental type.
Yeah. And I remember like there was like the windows on the front of the building and it overlooked like the street. And it was so cool. And again, you would have never known that you're going to walk through like two restaurants and go into the speakeasy. And
yeah, that's freaking cool.
Dude, it was cool. Like speakeasy, they say there's a speakeasy in Albuquerque. And I was like, okay, so was this speakeasy that you're talking about, is it like a modern thing where somebody thought it would be cool to have a speakeasy? Like,
or
is
it an actual speakeasy?
Or was it an actual speakeasy?
I'm curious to know what that is. When I was in Dallas, went downtown, we were looking at places to have a drink after we went to the museum.
Yeah.
And there was a speakeasy, but it was just too bizarre because we had just, we'd been walking and we were casually dressed and just walking from this museum. So we walked into this restaurant and it was way too freaking fancy. I was like... maybe we're not supposed to be here. So we walked away, but now I'm thinking about it. Well, that was just the front. Like, how stupid is that? We should have just gone in.
Well, there's supposed to be like two speakeasies in Albuquerque. It's called Vernon Speakeasy and Founder Speakeasy.
I hear Denver has quite a bit.
I think in the big cities, if they were around back then, because you're talking about the 1920s.
Yeah, you're talking about bigger cities who probably, had like little back rooms and
right.
But like maybe like Albuquerque, like do you really? New Mexico is not like old state.
Yeah, you never hear. Well, New Mexico became a state in 1912.
But you're talking.
It was okay. That says a lot right there.
Okay, 1912. So during the time of Prohibition,
the 1920s, right?
The 1920s.
That right there.
Maybe.
I mean, it was a U.S. territory, so it's possible. But do I think there was a speakeasy back then?
There was a Wild West mentality here. I think that there was just a lot of other stuff happening.
Right.
And we're Hispanic. There was a house party.
They were killing a goat somewhere.
They're over there, killing a goat and cooking it underground or something.
I know, right? They're like,
no.
They're like, you want to go to a hidden club? No. Go to your tío's house. He's going to be killing a chivo, eh?
I know. Mi hija tiene un quinceañera.
I know, right?
Do they have quinceañeras back there? Why not?
So
I don't know.
I'm on this website for the Vernon Speakeasy in Albuquerque. I want to see if it tells you a little. No, it doesn't. It doesn't tell you the history of it. If it was able to tell you the history
Then
of it,
I would believe it.
I would believe it.
I would believe it if it was haunted. I wouldn't believe if it was a speakeasy.
So okay, if you want to tell me something about New Mexico,
haunted.
I would say
haunted.
everything's haunted here.
Everything is haunted.
First of all, it's one of the oldest inhabited area of the United States.
It's super haunted.
Super haunted everywhere. Super haunted. I don't know if you and I have ever worked in a building here in our area that has not been haunted.
Every building
God.
that I've worked in so
My
far has been haunted. And there's been reasoning for that, because the reasoning says because, we also have hospice. So they keep saying
Right.
that they're attaching
At
themselves.
one time there was hospice.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've told this story to my friends, and I say I was like, well, the building I used to work in was haunted, and they're like, really? I was like, and I would tell them that story. So there used to be like hospice, but more than the hospice, there was the durable medical equipment.
Yeah.
And so people used to die in those beds.
And then they would bring them back.
And they would bring back all the medical equipment, and the people always felt like there was something attached to it. And I guess if things didn't happen, you'd have a hard time believing it. But weird stuff did happen.
And it continues to happen.
Wow.
Well, we recently,
it's
like
an old
I was
building.
telling you.
It's an old building.
And then we've hired some new staff.
Uh-huh.
And like I was telling the other manager, I was like, I don't like to talk about my feelings towards the hauntings, because I don't want to put it in someone's head. And let them, if it's real, it's real. They'll figure it out. Well, one Monday after a weekend, she had come in, and she was working alone
Maybe
on
she was
Sunday.
still boozed up from the weekend.
She maybe. But she was very like, oh my God, why did you guys tell me this building is haunted? We're like, what do you mean?
So in your building, I never had anything in particular that
she
freaked
said
me out.
that day was violent. She says the doors were just
So
opening and closing.
you and I had that violent experience in my office.
Yes.
Which was kind of crazy, because
Yes.
that was like crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. Did you get some ice?
I got a little bit of ice, yeah.
You want a Moscow Mule?
No, I'm fine. Go for it.
It's not even a Moscow Mule. Sorry.
But in my current building, it's been good. Now in the old in our old building, it was in my old building, it was crazy. Now in your old building, when I was there, I used to hear like kind of like people talking in the distance. You could hear the chatter like.
Well, it feels like there's always people in the back.
There always feels like there's always people there.
People there. You hear closing. You hear the doors opening and closing. You hear talking, and you hear like clicks, like someone's closing the door.
You hear stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit unnerving because it's very subtle. Nothing like crazy, like door slamming.
No, I've never seen anything violent. No. But she says for her, it was weird and violent. She did her best to ignore it, to not give it power, I guess.
But it got under her skin.
It got under her skin, and then she later on said, I think I took it home because it continued at home. I was like, oh, that sucks.
So it's weird because they always say, I've always been told, I've read this actually, I think it was, like when you see stuff, you tend to see it on the peripherals. Mm-hmm. Like you do that double take, but you see the movement on your peripherals. Mm. I do see that a lot. I'll see things on my peripherals, and I'll just be like, I don't do the double takes as hard as I used to, but I was like, I always do that like, huh.
Yeah.
Like you think you see like a shadow encroaching, or you see something move, and then you kind of just look and there's nothing.
Crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
So I do get that. I did have a friend. He said he used to see stuff all the time. Everywhere. Wow. And so much so that it's a mutual friend of ours. And he said he was at a grocery store, and he looked at a lady, and she said she turned and looked at him, and she had a really distorted face. And he shook his head. And he said she turned away, and then she turned back to look at him, and it was normal.
Weird.
And so he had a stepdaughter, and he showed me these pictures. He says, I gotta show you this. I go, what? He goes, my stepdaughter was having like a cheerleading event, and they were taking pictures. So I snapped some pictures while I was there of them like doing their thing. So parents. And there's like this black. thing, just like a big black dot. And one of them, in one of the pictures, it like trailed across the picture like that, and you could see it had like a tail.
Weird.
And it's not like, like you could do that with light. Where light, if you leave the exposure open, you could see the light moving. But the core of it was like a black dot, and it left like a light, like a dark tail all around the picture. And then another one was a picture of her, and the black dot was like, I don't remember if it was like right on her or like. And he goes, dude, there was nothing there. I'm taking this picture with my phone. I mean, I probably still have it somewhere on my phone. You know what I mean? But I was like, that's weird, dude.
One of the workers that works there, she was showing us a picture that her daughter had taken, and in the back there is a man's face. They have a picture of a ghost
In your building?
No, it was actually her home, but yeah. Oh, my building though. I told you there's video of a lunch bag, like some with stuff in it, in the conference room, and this bag is shifting.
Do you have that video?
I don't have it.
Who has? You have to see if they'll
One
share
of
it
the
with you.
nurses has
See
it.
if they'll share it with you. I would love to see that.
Yeah, it's like it's shifting, and it's like at first you think, is it the fan? Like, because if it's empty, you can kind of like think, oh, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, she's like, no, and it's just kind of shuffling around. I'm like, what the heck?
Do you remember the video I showed you of the basement of my building?
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's the effect of the camera, but
The orbs, like the
how
lights?
like there'll be like a flash of light, and the whole room was like illuminated, like the whole room was completely illuminated. So I don't know if that was like I say, effective of a motion detector camera when it turns on.
But you were also getting all of these alerts.
All night.
You're like, what the heck?
And it wasn't like all day.
Yeah.
It was like at 3. Suddenly at 3 in the morning. Suddenly at 2 in the morning. Midnight. And I remember when I was getting the alerts, I'd see it coming on my phone, and I'd be like, "No, I'll check it in the morning.
Yeah,
I don't want to look at it right now."
I don't want to be disturbed.
Right, and we would hang like streamers from the ceiling of the basement.
Yeah.
To see if there was like a draft, catching a draft of something walking by. We would do all these things, me and this guy, and we were like, dude, we're gonna catch something. But I never showed anybody else, but I showed him. I was like, dude, like all night my phone's getting these alerts, and every time there's an alert, there's a bright flash of light in the room. Now, I told you when we scrubbed it, we got sage and we scrubbed the room. That was bizarre. Because like you see that little plate right there?
Yeah.
That little wood plate? Well, this girl, she's very sensitive. And she was like, she could feel it. And she said some days it would just drain her. She'd be tired. And some days, just depending on how it was. And so one day she said, I'm going to scrub the building. And so she goes up to the top and she has like white sage and she's scrubbing it. And she has a little plate with a little cone of white sage incense.
Yeah, you were saying something.
And it was weird because, like I say, if I didn't see it, I wouldn't believe it.
Wasn't it like sparking or something?
Yeah, we went downstairs. She's holding the little plate in her hand.
Yeah.
And the thing starts like, it's not, like the incense, it what do you call that? It doesn't burn, but it like smolders.
Yeah.
Right. And then it, she does this but it's like sparking.
Jeez, what do you guys have?
The flame, it's like a spark. It was like a sparkler.
Yeah.
It was like a sparkler. It was like that. And I was like, I was standing right in front of it and looking, I was like, what the hell?
Oh my God.
And that incense on the little plate, and she's holding it with the plate with two hands like this, it starts moving around. It starts moving, like going around in a circle, start going from side to side. And to the point where I'm like, I held her hands to see if she was doing it. Mm-hmm. And she's like, dude, I'm not doing this. And I was like, what the hell?
That is so
I've
crazy.
never seen anything like that happen. And then upstairs in the building upstairs, when we're doing that, there's two individuals sitting in an office, and across the hall from the office there's like a box with a phone, like an old phone. Mm-hmm. And they're talking in the office, and suddenly I hear a crash, like this random crash. Like, what the hell? And I hear somebody yell, Mark. And me and that girl, we're like, what just happened? We go running upstairs, and they're both sitting in the office, and they're looking at the ground, and the phone's on the ground in her office, like the phone was across the hall in the box on the little table. And she says, something through that phone. She goes, that phone just flew into my office. And that guy, he's from another town. He had to come in to pick stuff up from art, and he was sitting in there talking to her. And he's just sitting there. And so this guy, he's like the most like, look, do I think I need to get vaccinated for COVID? No. Do I think I need to do that? You know what I mean? He's that kind of guy.
He's a skeptic.
He's a skeptic and all that. And he's just sitting there and he's just like, dude, he goes, that phone just flew in here. He's like, what the heck? He goes, nobody was outside. And I'll never forget that like that. And then when you arrived there that night, like the crashing noise just got louder and louder.
We heard it distinctively 3 times, but after we started reviewing the audio, we didn't know. But as we entered, it was happening, and we didn't know like the other things that happened that we didn't hear initially.
There was like a weird background noise the whole time. Yeah. And what's weird is the crashing noise kept on happening on different parts of the building too. Mm-hmm. Like it almost sounds like drawers are being like slammed closed, or like desk drawers being.
It was really crazy.
You could almost feel it in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, "There's nobody here. How is this happening?"
We got to do another episode where we do like something like that. Go like somewhere that's haunted.
Oh, we've been wanting to do something like that.
Yeah, we've been wanting to do something like that.
Yeah.
Now, I will say in your building, one night I was working till like late, like 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. It was pitch dark outside, and all the lights in the building were off. And I remember when I turned off my office light, it was pitch dark in there. And granted, my office always had like the windows.
Yeah.
And then there's like that hallway that has the windows. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, all right, the windows, just go out to the building, set the alarm, whatever, da-da-da.
Yeah.
That hallway right there, that hallway that goes all the way across, it has all it has like a exit signs. It has like security.
The red exit signs.
And I remember that hallway glowed red. And I remember just being so spooked out by that.
Oh.
Like, stuff like that didn't freak me out. Like even my old buildings, exit sign, whatever, da-da-da. But like that, I remember, I'll never forget that night, like the glow in that hall that was all red. I was like, I'm getting the F out here now. Like, what the hell?
Bananas. So, like, our crew's been doing this thing where we've been going in at 5 on Saturdays just because we're trying to optimize some time. Anyway, so we've been doing this Saturday.
Because you're a dedicated employee. You're trying to be a superstar.
I know, I'm trying to rock it. I want to be a badass. But, so we've been going in at 5. I'm not a morning person, but 5 o'clock on a Saturday isn't as terrible as you think. You don't have to get dressed up and go office ready. You just got to get up and go. No one's there. No one's going to look at you. You're working in your office alone anyway. So we've been going, and it's just like that early morning vibe at 5 o'clock in the morning in that building. Different? It is definitely different. Like it's not.
Is it eerie?
It is eerie. It's very eerie. And then especially, God forbid, you have to go to the restroom. And there's only a few people there.
That one stall in the women's bedroom. And it feels like there's somebody there.
That bathroom always feels occupied.
That's weird.
To the point where I purposely go in that stall.
To see.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Well, why not? It's not fair. Why are you going to take up that one stall? There's only 3 of them. I'm going to purposely go in here.
That's funny.
It's not right.
That's funny.
I'm all like that. It's not right. How could you take up all of this space? Like,
that's hilarious.
I'm going to go in there. Forget
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, dude.
It's not right. No.
Oh my gosh.
So I go in there purposely.
You know what I saw recently? I rewatched again was Constantine. Keanu Reeves. He's like
I haven't seen it in such a long time.
He tried to commit suicide as a kid because he always saw the ghost and all that. Mm-hmm. And then that girl that died, the twin that died, she was hearing voices and all that. And so she killed herself. They're trying to figure out, did she really kill herself and all that? And so he talks about God and the devil. And he says they're there, but they made a bet, but that they would not directly get involved in our life, but they would influence us to see who would win. Mm-hmm. And I think about stuff like that. And I meant to do research on this, but I had heard, I don't know if it was like an interview I heard this a long time ago. I'm pretty sure it was like on YouTube or something like that. And I wanted to research more. And I think it had to do something with Pope Pius. And there's been a lot of Pope Piuses, but one of the Pope Piuses in like modern times, and talks about like the deal between the God and the devil. And whereas talking about like, you know, how the devil tries to influence people to not have belief. And I think, I don't know who said this, but there's a saying that goes like, the devil's best trick, or the greatest thing the devil did, was to convince people that he didn't exist.
That's interesting.
It's an interesting concept.
When you think about that.
Okay, think about humanity for the last 2,000 years. It's based, for most of that time, religion was Catholicism. It was, I don't know, when Martin Luther, his principles and all that. And then there was the great, what was that called when he separated from the church?
What, Martin Luther? I'm
yes. Martin Luther, when he started Lutheranism, right? When Martin Luther separated, I'm trying to type it in now.
I'm kind of curious to know where you're headed with this.
So when he separated from the church, it was called the Great Schism.
Oh, okay.
Before that, the church was absolute. And, you know, the whole saying of like, what is bound, well, you know, what the church binds on earth will be bound in heaven. And you have to do what we tell you to do. And it had like a lot of holdover people. And then Martin Luther came along and he says, no, there's guiding principles in the Bible. And the God says this. And so suddenly you had the first, not the first, but you had the first, maybe the first major offshoot of Christianity from Catholicism. And then you had the start of the Lutheranism movement, right? And it was a big deal. It was a big deal. And suddenly that, you know, Martin Luther's like, no, you know, like, you know, faith in Jesus and the teachings of Jesus and his guiding principles. And it's not so much like, it's not, I mean, and I could be paraphrasing this, and I could be butchering a little bit, but it's like, it's not what the Pope says and just the Pope's and the church's interpretations, but you can read the Bible and you can learn it for yourself. And you could learn those principles. And what does that mean? You know what I mean?
It's kind of the same thing. Yeah, separation from Catholicism, because before then, only the priests can talk to God on your behalf.
They pray for you.
They pray for you. And I still don't understand it, to be honest with you. So, okay, so you're saying that the biggest trick that the devil has convinced humanity is that he doesn't exist.
So before the Great Schism, there's only Catholicism. Maybe there's I don't know if the Orthodoxy existed back to the Eastern Orthodox. That's like a more strict version of, say, like Catholicism. There's different sects of Catholicism, and I don't know the names of them. Maybe it'll hit me here in a minute, but you know, they talk about
Drink
like
more tequila. It's going to come
I
back.
know it'll come back. but you know, it's all about, you know, the teaching of Jesus, saving souls. And then the devil, and if you don't do this, and you don't do that, and if you break the commandments and all that, you're going to go to hell.
Well, there's always
so there's this guiding principle of hell. Hell. Everybody always knew hell was a real place, and okay, so that was the thing about suicide. If you died, you're going to hell.
Yes. Have you ever? Right. Yes, and the churches are very. I don't know any church who doesn't believe that if you commit suicide, that obviously you're going to hell. It's like it's a straight shot to hell. I've been to a funeral
where somebody committed suicide.
Yes, and it is an awful thing because
the service
was not joyous.
It's not only because they're passing away.
Funerals are not joyous. But
people are sad because, like, oh, my loved one's gone. I'm not going to see them away. They died. But it's a double whammy. It's a double whammy because
the preaching was like even more a slap in the face because it was just like wow. So it's not what you want to hear. So for a better part of humanity until the Great Schism, when these different Christian sects start splitting off from the church. Before that, one of the main guiding principles. I mean, and even maybe after the schism, I don't know, but
one of the guiding principles is like, if you do bad, you're going to go to hell. The devil's going to get you. And so you could see like people that didn't understand, maybe they didn't have a strong grasp of science. Maybe they didn't understand why certain events in nature happen. Because, things happen in nature and you're like, is it because of the devil? Is it because we did bad and the devil's getting at us?
Or just things happen.
Right. So,
Bad things happen.
But if you had a real rudiment education and you didn't have a strong background in science and you didn't have this, you didn't have that, and somebody said that happened because you did bad, you did this, and it's the devil, and he's making you pay. And so there's that whole thing of like where people are like, they had a fear of this thing called the devil.
Yeah.
And they had this fear of like, geez, my afterlife for all eternity, I can go to hell, to the pits of hell, soul fire, brimstone fire.
So like hell's like.
So Matt, how would that change people though? How would that change people though? To suddenly you go through millennia of people having fear of that to now they're like, oh, the devil's a made up concept and hell's a made up concept. I mean, do I know? I don't know. I haven't died. I don't know. Do they know?
No one really knows.
Nobody really knows. But when you remove that whole concept of like, if you're bad, you're going to go to hell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does that do? And what does that do to like a people, a civilization?
Well, it's just absolute chaos. I think that sometimes that it's kind of like religion is a form of law for the soul. So people just aren't out there being assholes.
Yeah. So, now in regards to suicide, there is, and again, if anybody's listening to this, read it, look it up. I mean, I don't want to butcher it or paraphrase or because I know I do that a lot. And I know bits and pieces, but maybe I don't know the whole thing. But I know early on in Christianity, they talk about the kingdom of heaven and the promise of kingdom of heaven and the everlasting life and how wonderful it's going to be. And back then, you're talking about turn of the century. I mean, turn of the millennia. You're talking about like 30 80 and 40 80, 50 80. So you're not even talking about like Spanish conquistadors. You're not even talking about the Mongols. You're talking about like that turn of the century. The Romans are still there, the Greeks and all that stuff. So you're talking about people that are living rough lives.
Yeah.
And you tell them that the promise of the afterlife is so wonderful. And they're like, well, why would we live this life? Let's just go to the next life. And they would kill themselves. And so it's like, it's my understanding from what I read. I mean, what I read, and like I say, it's a single source, it's not an original source, I don't believe. But my understanding of it was that there were people that would end their lives to go to the next life. And so the church came out and they said this edict like, okay, suicide is not acceptable as an easy out. And so they said like, so that's like that's kind of the basis of like whole of suicide. If you commit suicide, you're going to go to hell because you're throwing away the gift of life.
I'm just imagining what it's doing to their economy.
Jeanette.
Oh, they're like, all these people are just like, all of a sudden they're out there preaching that, heaven is real. It's a wonderful place. And people are like killing themselves in the hundreds. And they're like, dude, this is a problem. Like, there's no one here.
I know, right? So, I mean, who knows how many people, but
like,
I mean,
wow.
it's my understanding that may have been where that idea came from. And then depending on how you feel about religion, Catholicism, the Pope, where they come out with the edict of like, okay, if you kill yourself, you're going to go to hell. And what's bound on earth, it will be bound in heaven.
I can see it being a problem.
Right. And so,
let's fix that.
Depending on how you feel about Catholicism, but when Jesus said, what you bind on earth, he tells that to Peter, what you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and he passes that on from pope to pope to pope, because there is a lineage in the church, in the Catholic Church. There's an old man. He was telling me about his friend that's a Lutheran. He was telling me how he didn't know this. He was talking to a Lutheran minister. And this old man, and great old man, I love this guy. He passed away maybe 2 years ago or maybe 3. And he says, I didn't know that my Lutheran minister friend was not a priest. But he was a priest. And then he left Catholicism for to be a Lutheran. And he made that distinction with me. He says, only Catholics are priests. We're only ministers in other faiths. And it has to do with the, there's a name for this, and I can't think of it. In Catholicism, it's like a family tree. So you know your lineage comes from your mom and dad. And then your dad you can trace your dad's lineage to his mom and dad, and you can trace your mom's lineage to her mom and dad. And then you could follow that family tree back and back and back. Well, in Catholicism, with the priest class, there's the same lineage. So my current priest, he can follow back to say like, okay, I was ordained a priest by this bishop. This bishop was ordained a priest by this bishop. This priest was ordained by this bishop. And supposedly in Catholicism, that lineage follows a family tree that leads all the way back to Peter, that goes all the way back to Jesus.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
And that's only in Catholicism. Doesn't exist because when Jesus was on earth, there was no such thing as Lutheranism. There was no such thing as... There wasn't even Muslims back then. There's no Islam. There's no Lutheranism. There's no Baptist. Nothing. Back then you had whatever they're worshiping in Persia, Zoroastrianism. You had Judaism. You had whatever you call the Romans were worshiping, whatever the Greeks were worshiping. You know what I mean? The poly. What do you call that? Where you worship many gods? Poly something. Where they had like the Greeks had like Jupiter, and they had the god Saturn and Mars, god of war, and then the Greeks had their version of god of war was Apollo, the god of war, and the Greeks' version of Jupiter was Zeus. And then you had Helena and all that, and then you had Hinduism, like the Eastern the Eastern religions, Hinduism, Buddhism. That's been around for a long time. Islam didn't come till later. Judaism had been around for a long time, and then whatever they were worshiping in Egypt at the time, Osiris, I don't know what it's called, and you know what I mean. All them. That was at the time, but so Catholicism has this whole lineage of priesthood, and they probably didn't think it would turn out to be the way it is now. When they make like jokes about priests and little boys and all that. I don't think you can't say it's indicative of a religion.
I think that's just it's that person.
It's that person, right? Because like if you look at Jeffrey Dahmer,
it shouldn't tarnish a whole religion
right.
because of a few bad people,
right? There's probably more than a few bad people, but they took advantage of their role because as a priest you were more of a community leader back then probably than you are now. You were seen as like a legit community leader, giving guidance to the government, local communities, and all that. Whereas back then, you know what I mean. And it's just like you can't indict all of humanity based on somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer. You know what I mean? Or Charles Manson.
That's the thing, though. I mean, we're talking about like good. If there's like religion and there's the idea of heaven and all of this stuff. I mean, there's always that idea of the opposite of hell. And then you have like whatever we see, the in-between of haunted buildings.
Right.
Like
and what is that? Is that related
life?
To religion at all?
I don't know. It's like, I don't know what that is. It's like a...
And what's interesting, if you follow like these ghost hunters and all that...
It's just so weird.
I'm all waiting for you to check your phone. I was like, okay, go ahead and check your phone.
No,
everybody, we're going to time out, everybody. I know we're all like, let's check our phones real fast. But
no, making sure I didn't miss anything.
Oh, I have a notification.
Oh.
Oh, okay. It's about my airplane ticket that it's got my flight's coming up next week.
Nice.
But if you watch those like ghost hunter shows, one thing they talk about is there's two kind of hauntings. There's a kind of a haunting that's like it's almost like a recording, a loop of an event that happened in time. Like you always see like in an old building in Philadelphia, you'll always see a soldier walking into a building at night. And he walks, he looks around, and he walks out. And they say it's almost like a residual recording of something that happened at that time in that moment.
But that's the okay.
That's-
So that's the
one
weird.
kind-
Those are the mysteries
So
of
that's
life.
right. That's the mystery of life. But so that's like one kind of haunting. They say there's a haunting that happens that's like a residual recording of something that happened at a time. And it's almost like a loop, like a recording of a loop.
A glitch. Maybe we are in the Matrix.
Maybe we are in the Matrix. We can talk about that in a minute.
I know. I love it.
But then you have another kind of haunting where you go in there and they try to scare the hell out of you, or they're trying to communicate with you, or like it's a different kind of haunting that's more involved. Mm-hmm. So you have like two distinct kind of hauntings, almost like the Poltergeist. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun.
Remember when the
dun.
Poltergeist came out, the movies?
Dude, that freaked me out.
That freaked me out.
The Poltergeist movie freaked me out. I still can't watch it.
How's that one movie that Caroline, that little girl? They're here.
Yeah. But
And
it's
then-
so creepy because all of a sudden, like, it's just weird. It's just such a weird concept.
There was a movie about a haunting.
It's called A Haunting.
No. Like, and it's fun. It's funny, like when they make movies like that, and then the actors come out later and they say like weird stuff was going on, and
They
those
did the same thing with Poltergeist. They were saying like,
maybe that's the one I'm talking about. I don't remember, but there's how they were saying like weird stuff was happening on set.
how weird.
So the thing about the what's that one movie about the resurrection of, or the Passion of the Christ, the Passion of the Christ.
With Mel Gibson.
Oh
Didn't he
my
direct
God!
it, or
Yes, he
did
directed it, and the actor, what's his name? I don't even know the actor because he was. I have to look it up now because the Passion of the Christ, 2000. God, it came out in 2004. It's so far long ago. Jim Caviezel. So there's a lot of interviews with him, and he's talking about how hard it was to make that movie. Like there was something, like he says, there was something that did not want to make that movie, and he's saying like towards the end, when during the Passion, where he's like carrying the cross and then he's crucified, he goes, something came over me and I was ill and da da da, but I had to do this. And he said there was a really bad storm, and he said when they put him on the cross, he was struck by lightning.
What?
Yeah. He said he was struck by lightning when he was on the cross. Yeah.
How weird.
I want to say that like his heart stopped or something. I mean, like I say, it's been a while since I've listened to that interview. But he said the challenges to making that movie is super normal.
What?
Yeah.
I'm not quite understanding. Like, are you saying all of the attempts from other people to make, or just that movie in particular?
Well, that one himself, because they did an interview with him, and he talks about there was something that was almost like physically trying to stop him from making that movie.
How crazy!
How crazy!
Yeah.
You have to listen to his interview, Jim. I'll look it up. Jim Caviezel.
I'm really liking this mule. This Mongo mule. This mule. When I say it like that, it just sounds silly. It sounds so silly.
You're silly. So Jim
silly.
Caviezel interviews. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Yeah, it's called. I think this is it. The Passion of the Christ. The complete interview. It's a 40-minute interview, and changed his life completely. He said completely changed his life. But he talked about the challenges of making that movie, and you could say like, to the outside observer, it's easy for us to say like, dude, you're just imagining things, or dude, it was just a bad day.
No, I think that people are more in tune with
Right.
energy and things that we just can't explain.
But then you go back to something like the Poltergeist movies, the Poltergeist, and when there people like are on set and they're saying weird stuff was going on. Do you know what I mean? It's like what is that? Is that our imagination?
No, I've had at least one real experience where it did make me believe that there was something you cannot explain. And it only happened to me once, and ever since then I've always wished that I don't want to hear it, I don't want to see it, I don't want to hear ghosts, I don't want to see ghosts, I just don't.
But
Like,
you know they're there.
I know they're there because I've heard it.
Yeah.
I've heard it, and like very plain.
Mm-hmm.
Like outside my window.
That's scary.
Yeah, outside my window with the window open. It's just the screen in the middle of, it's hot, but I was like, I was like in my, late teens, like maybe 19, 20, and I heard it for hours. Wow. And yes, and that is the only time I've ever had that happen. And thank God it hasn't happened again.
I had a lot of experiences like that as a kid too, and nothing I want to repeat. But
you
know what freaked me out the most, and I didn't know it at the time?
Huh?
There were these weird noises coming outside my bedroom window. Me and my brother.
You too?
We had we were in the corner of the room in the corner of the house, and it always seems like my brothers were always sleeping through everything, and I heard this noises all night, and it sounded like the demons from hell.
Oh my God!
I'm like, what the hell is this? It sounds like they were just outside my window. I'm like. And I couldn't sleep, and I'm freaking out. Like, what the fuck? Oh, my God. And it happened a lot of times until I got a little bit older, and I realized all that fucking probably cats mating outside my window.
But, I didn't hear nothing like that. Like, it wasn't noises. It was talking.
But I've had other experiences I cannot explain that has really shaped my perception of good, bad, God, the devil, and all that. I've had tremendous experiences that I cannot explain.
Yeah. And then my mom freaked me out.
Really?
So
God rest her soul.
God rest her soul.
God rest her soul. Yes.
Love you, Mom.
Love you too. What's your mom's name? Dorothy?
Dorothy.
Dorothy. Love you, Dorothy.
Yeah. So before she passed, like it was maybe a month or so.
Uh-huh.
Or we were talking about just death, and we were talking about like, she had said something about like, well, if your dad and I go, do you want the house? Like, would you feel comfortable living here? Would you stay in the room?
Make it turn into an Airbnb? I don't know.
Maybe, right? And I was like, I don't have a problem. And like, if you and dad were to have passed on,
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I would sleep in the main bedroom, and I would be okay. And she's like, wouldn't it freak you out a little? And I'm like, no, I if anything, I think it would bring me a little bit of comfort that I'd feel a little closer to you.
Okay, that's cool.
I'd feel comfort, because like this is where you guys were at, and I could, to me, it felt like I would feel comfort. And then she freaked me out.
Oh.
She tells me, and she's like, well, what if I was like, she's like, what if you saw my ghost? And I was like, I don't think I'd be scared.
Shut up, Mom.
Like, I wouldn't be scared. And she's like, Mija, she's like, if you're seeing my spirit, that's not me. It's something else. It's something unworldly.
Wow.
So when she passed, she freaked me out. She passed. I kid you not, that first night. Like, of course, I'm grieving her. And I'm like, there's this part that you want to feel close and you want to know she's okay, right? But she freaked me out just remembering that conversation. I was like, I just like said out loud, I was like, Mom, if you're here, please don't appear to me. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. I was like, because you're really going to freak me out. And I slept with the cats. I don't sleep with my animals. I have 3 cats.
But you know what's funny about
I let
cats?
them in.
Because there's always that thing throughout history where they say cats live in both worlds.
Yes, and there is something comforting. I've heard the same thing. There's something comforting about, because my cats, sometimes they freak me out too, because I'll be sitting and then all of a sudden they'll just stare off. And I'm like, what are you looking at?
And they're like looking at something.
All of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you looking at? And then I've come
like
to
all
the
of them
point,
will look at the same thing.
Yeah, and I'll
Really?
be like, okay, so
wait, hold on. How many cats are we talking here, Jen? Do you have like a dozen cats? Are you a cat lady?
I have 3.
Like 23, 24
I have
cats?
23 cats. No, I'm just gonna have 1. I have 3.
Dios de mi vida.
I'm super protected. I'm
we
in
could
the beach.
we could talk about
tree.
we could talk about the cat people we've met in our lives in our profession.
But
wow.
it's so crazy because they'll like stare off, and I'm like, who's here? But that night there was a comfort. It's so weird. My mind, right? I let them sleep because I kind of felt like if there was going to be something there and my mom did appear, that's not my mom, because she freaked me out.
That's a weird thing for her to say.
Me out.
That's a weird thing for her
know.
to say. And you know what's funny is like if I ever got a cat, because I'm not a cat person, but if I ever got a cat, I would get it for that reason. Remember the movie? Remember the Mummy? The movie The Mummy with Brandon Fraser, and then like the mummy guy's there, and then Brandon Fraser pulls up the cat, and the cat goes, "Rawr," and the mummy just turns into dust. I would get a cat only for that reason. Like, cat's gonna watch both worlds. They're like the protector of the dead or the world of the dead or something like that.
I've heard something about, it's silly, but I had heard something about cats like, kind of warding off spirits. Like they'll guard.
Right.
And I remembered something like that. So the day my mom had passed, I was afraid that like it wasn't going to be her coming to me. It was going to be something else. Uh-huh. So yeah, I said it out loud. I was like, Mom, please don't appear to me. I love you, but you're going to freak me out. Like,
wow.
Please don't.
So this website is called thegreatcat.org. It says, what does it say right here? In many areas of Britain and Ireland, when a death occurs in a house, the family cats and dogs would be removed immediately. Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Wow.
Are they inviting the spirit?
I don't know. Hold on. I just saw something. I wanted to.
All I know is that I let the animals sleep with me.
A number of beliefs like this centered on the ability of cats and dogs to predict a coming death.
Oh, wow.
Either by natural but unexplained sense or by the supernatural ability. Dogs howling outside a window where a sick person lies or a cat refusing to stay in such a home are both seen as prime examples of these animals' uncanny abilities. And I just saw something on the abstract about cats, and I wanted to let me see if I can find it real fast. What does the abstract say? Oh man, I should be able to find it. The abstract said it's like you read something good on the abstract, then you have to find it in the on the page. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it real fast. Oh, now I'm waiting for it to go back. This maybe I need to upgrade my Microsoft
Your computer.
It's what is it called? The Surface.
Yeah.
I love this. This is like a heavy one. It's like one of the first touchscreens come out, but I've always loved this computer.
Well, maybe you're not ready. As long as it's still working, why?
Right. Let me see if I can pull up that. Okay. The abstract here says, it is said that the house cat can tell whether the soul of the dead person has gone to heaven or hell if immediately after the house ... And so I'm trying to click to the page to find that passage.
Oh my God, you're going to get spam.
I know, right?
You're going to get a virus on your computer.
I know, right? Let me see if I can find that exact thing. That's okay. Here it is. It says Wales 1909. I don't know if Wales. That's got to be the person that said this because it's italicized. So that I don't know if that means it's a direct quote or if it's a paraphrase. But it says Wales 1909. That's where it's sourced from. But it says, it is said that the house cat can tell whether the soul of the dead person has gone to heaven or hell. If immediately after the death, the house cat ascends a tree, the soul is gone to heaven. If it descends, the soul is gone to hell.
Oh, weird. Well, my cats just stayed put. So
but that's kind of been a constant though, because you look at the Egyptian death, the mythology about death and all that stuff, it always involved the cats.
I think there's something symbolic. You're right. There's definitely something symbolic about cats.
And if you talk about Egyptian and their I don't know what you call the religion from Egyptian, from that,
like,
but before Islam,
worshipping like Ra.
Right, Ra and all that. Egyptian religion goes back like 20,000 years. 20,000 years, like. We can't even fathom that kind of time frame. Do you know what I mean? Because we only live like 80, 90 years. 20,000 years?
Dude, we're going to, like, you and I have like maybe half.
Part of our life.
Oh.
I was telling my friend, I was like, I'm in the best years of my life. Okay. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But I just want to see what it says about Egypt.
Egyptian?
Is it with a J?
Egypt?
Egypt.
Oh, so you're talking about the Egyptians?
There we go. Cats. I want to see what it says about cats and Egyptians. Egyptians believe cats were magical creatures capable of bringing good luck to the people who house them. To honor these treasure pets, wealthy families dressed them in jewels and fed them treats for royalty. When the cats died, they were mummified. Cats were mummified.
Yes, I've heard that.
Wow. I didn't know that they mummified the cats also. As a sign of mourning, the cat owners shaved off their eyebrows and continued to mourn until the eyebrows grew back. Art from ancient Egypt shows statues and paintings of every type of feline. Cats were so special that those who killed them, even by accident, were sentenced to death.
Wow.
So it's funny that people, for the better part of humanity, because like our time of life right now, it's just a blink compared to the rest of humanity. Mm-hmm. Our 100 years. Modern times of mankind right now is like, what, 100, 150 years at best? At best. Out of like a 20, 30, 40,000 years of known man recorded history. 150 years out of 40,000 years. And for 40,000 years, there's a lot of cultures that revered cats as some sort of playing some sort of part of like the afterlife.
Yeah, like a portal into another
It's
dimension.
funny because I was going to say portal.
Portal.
I was going to say that. It's kind of curious. I would almost get a cat for that reason.
They're with animals and just even just you being a pet owner, you know that animals are just they're not the same. One animal is not going to be like the other. They have little personalities, but with my cats, I mean they're stubborn little lazy affectionate animals.
Oh, and here's something curious.
They're smart though.
Why were black cats always associated with witches? And this article says, in Western cultures, black cats are associated with bad luck, disease, and witches. So much so that there was mass killings of black cats.
Heard that. And then
that's crazy.
Yeah, my little Kia is the blackest one. She's so cute, and she's the most affectionate one too.
That's a little bit nuts. I'm trying to find something that talks about like cats and death and human history, just to find that correlation in the history of cats. I don't know.
They listen.
It's funny because cats are a pain in the ass. Like dogs unconditionally love you.
Cats do too, but they've
Got
stubborn.
an attitude.
They do have an attitude, and maybe that's what I like about it.
And what's funny is I've got birds.
Yeah.
And the birds have attitude too.
I saw one swinging on one just flew to the little thing, and it was just swinging.
They're kind of cool. They're kind of cool though, right? It's very cliche for it to sit on that little thing.
Just all swinging back. I was like, oh, that bird's living his best
And it's
life.
funny because you can hear the bird's emotion when how they talk. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they're just singing, they're whistling,
they're all happy.
They're all happy, and then sometimes they do like this weird screech, like, and it's weird because like, are you guys like annoyed with each other?
Are they like in a fight?
Yeah, it's like
in a fight.
And,
I mean, they share like a quarter. You know, they share close quarters with each other.
And they don't They don't mind my dog. They don't even know my dog. It's like they don't even know my dog's there. Mm-hmm. My dog doesn't even pay. My two dogs I've had, you know, the old dog and the new dog, never even paid attention to them. They're like, okay.
They don't care.
Yeah. They don't. You know.
If you had a cat though, the cat would just be mesmerized by their movement.
He's like, I'm gonna catch you.
They're like little hunters.
He's like, come on out into my world. I got you.
Like, but they listen though. Cats do listen.
Cats are just sitting there watching the birds, imagining with barbecue sauce. They're like, oh, you look so delicious. I was like, what? Your white meat and your dark. Oh,
so yummy.
So yummy. And the dogs are like, it's such a nice day. I think I'm gonna go outside. Is it raining outside?
Your dog was cracking me up.
Why is it my owner petting me? Is he having a bad day? I'm gonna go smell his feet again. He's like, hey, look at me. I'm here. Look at me. Ooh, look at me. I'm wagging my tail. Look at my tail. It's wagging. It's so much fun. And the cat's just sitting there. It's like, am I going to get the bird? Am I going to kill it? I'm hungry. I think I'm going to get the bird. Nah, maybe I'll let him live today. I'm coming for you.
They can, you know what? Okay, so I only have one cat that I think like actually, like I can tell her because every night she does the same freaking thing. She goes to my room. Mm-hmm. She wants to stay in the room, and I don't have to battle her. Mm-hmm. I don't have to get underneath my bed to drag her out. I just have to say leave.
Yeah,
and she'll like be all meowing like meow, 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 but she'll look at me and she'll just walk out.
So,
I just tell her leave, and she just does it.
My current dog's like a little over a year old. She's like 13, 14 months old.
Yeah.
And that's why she jumps a little bit still. She gets all excited. She's like, oh, there's somebody here.
I know,
Who are
so
you?
excited.
She's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
And she's cute as hell, but she doesn't understand how big she is.
And she's a total Fraggle Rock. She pops up out of the middle door. Hey guys,
I know.
what's going on? Hey,
she was popping up different windows.
Come on, everybody. I can totally see her doing the Fraggle Rock song. And whereas my old dog, my old dog Spartacus, he always had a thing where he would raise an eyebrow. He's like, go outside. He goes, okay.
Like he would listen.
He's like
okay.
Fine. I'm going to go outside. I'm going outside because I want to, not because you told me. Just pet me later, bro. Just pet me later. All right. And she lays down. Okay. The door that leads to my bedroom. Yeah. My old pit bull, he used to lay down there all the time.
Yeah.
I used to get so annoyed with the fur. He'd get fur all over the bed and all everything. So I'd always make him like lay down outside of my bedroom door.
Yeah.
She lays there too.
Does she?
Without me telling her. She just lays there.
She learned it from Sparty. Maybe.
She wasn't with him that long.
I know, which is really weird.
Yeah.
And she acts like she's never really known him because she's so rambunctious.
Oh my! Well, it was Spartacus was too when he was little. He was rambunctious, and he used to eat all my shoes. I mean, I have a hat. My favorite hat he ate.
Oh man!
She doesn't do that, but I can tell with a female dog, she's more emotional. And then there's days where she'll walk up to my bed and she'll just like put her head on my bed and she'll be like, "Hey, dude."
Oh.
She's like, "Hey, bro."
She just needs some love. She needs attention.
Fine, I'll pet you.
Fine.
She's like, I'm tired. Let me alone. Let me just pet you. There you go. There you go. I'm petting you. Go away. You're nice now. And it's like your hair smells. You need a shower. Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh my God. And her hair grows. Like, it's kind of nice with a dog that sheds. You don't have to worry about cutting their hair. This one, her hair just grows and it grows.
Didn't you just recently get her groomed?
I just got her groomed and she just grows. She's a poodle, right? The old dog's a pit bull. She's a poodle. And then it's like, oh, you need a shower. So once upon a time, I lived in this house with these two brothers. I think the older brother, Matt, moved out at that point. It was me, John. I think there was another guy and then there was a girl. Because there was like 1, 2, 3. It was a 4-bedroom house and every room was rented out. And so there was this girl that had like a little white dog that it was like a poodle. It had hair. Yeah. And I remember she would walk into the shower holding her dog with her towel on, and she would always shower with her dog.
Really?
And I remember telling my buddy John, I was like, is it me or is it strange that she's showering with her dog? Do you just find that? I mean, I remember just being like, do you find that weird or is that just me? Like, I'm not judging.
Are you starting to think maybe that's a good idea with Kati?
No.
Can you do that?
No. I would be pissed. I'd be like, leave me alone. Get out. Like, I can
see how she'd probably get dirty like every other day.
Oh my God.
She's rolling in the dirt in her hair.
Oh my God.
When you were in here setting up, she drank from the water bowl and then she jumped up on the window and she had all of this water just like, it was just dripping full of water.
Her water bowl, I'm like, how the hell is there so much mud in your water bowl?
Did she like dip her face in
I think so. She's like, oh, hey, look at this water.
I know.
She's like, just like dunks her head in the water. She's like, that's so refreshing. That tastes so great. She sticks her head in the water. It's like,
her face was wet.
It's like, you don't have to put your whole head in the water to drink, bro.
You can just put your tongue in there.
I'm saying, most dogs use a tongue. You know what I mean? Have you ever seen the slow motion up zoom ins of dogs when they drink water? How their tongue, when it goes in the water, it scoops. Like the whole tongue bends and it scoops like that.
I've never seen
Now, apparently, my dog hasn't figured that out because she just dunks her whole head and she just lets it rush in.
Wet.
She's just like, I'm just going to take a big bite of water when I'm in there.
She had a bite of water. And it looked like that's exactly what she did because all of her fur on her face was just like all like drenched.
And then when she's out in the rain, oh my God. She looks funny because she looks all fluffy. And then when it rains and she's all like
skinny.
Yeah. It's the funniest thing. It's like, oh my God. Oh. So, what were we talking about a minute ago? Living the best life.
Living our best life. Or who is living their best life?
No, I just made a comment to that a minute ago.
The birds.
No. I was saying like about the dogs. I'm like, I feel like I'm living my best life right now.
Oh, talking about our 40s.
Yeah, and I was telling my buddy. So last night I went to a quinceañera.
Yeah, I know.
Legit Mexican quinceañera, Mexican band.
I thought you were the pictures that you had shared with the group.
It was like kind of like a slash rave.
Dude, it looked like you were like at a rave. I was like, are those things still happening?
It was cool though. It was beautiful.
I was thinking, leave it up to Mark to find a rave.
The family, like, it was like we go out to like it wasn't like a corral, but it was almost like a small arena, almost like if there was bullfighting going on in there. And I was like, telling my friend, I was like, do they do fighting in there? It's kind of out in the desert. And he goes, I don't know. And I was like, it's like an arena, but it had like stone walls around it. And the bleachers were up. And then they had the stage, and they had like a live band. They had a dancing area. And then we had all the tables set up, and they had the lights and everything. Then they had like the paper flowers. Excuse me.
Drink some water.
Because of water. Technical difficulty. So then they had like the paper flowers everywhere. It was really beautiful. Some people were dressed as mariachis. The little kids were dressed as mariachis. The girl, she had a big, beautiful dress on, and it was really cool. It was really beautiful, great food and all that stuff, and it was really cool. And I was there with my buddy, and he was like, you're living a really good life right now. And I was like, I would do, if I was single, I'd be doing what you're doing. You're trying to travel more. You're trying to meet people. And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to meet girls and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm trying to meet people and meet new females and all that. And I go, and I'm just at a point where I'm taking matters in my own hand. I'm going to go meet somebody. I'm going to go travel. I'm going to go do it. Screw it. Why not?
Well,
and he's like, I would do the same thing. And I'm already planning my next trip for about 3 weeks from now after this trip.
Nice.
Why not?
Where? To Colombia? You going back?
No. I think I'm gonna go back to Medellin though.
Are you?
I think I'm gonna do a week in Medellin. There's a girl out there I want to go see. I was telling her I was gonna go spend some time with her. There's another little town in Mexico. I think I'm gonna go spend a weekend in about 3 weeks. I have one cousin I think out there left.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna call her up and be like, hey, I'm coming to town. I was like, why not? And he's like, that's pretty amazing. And I was watching a movie, Me Too, today, with Kevin Hart and Marky Mark. It's called Me Time.
Oh, Me Time. I've never seen it.
It's a good movie. And Kevin Hart's like, you're not George Clooney. He's like, Marky Mark's like, I'm just like George Clooney, you know? I'm like this old cop. I'm getting older, and I'm having a great time meeting people. Kevin's like, you're not like George Clooney. And I'm like, I've all texted my buddy. I'm like, hey, bro, am I the George Clooney of our group? And he goes, no, you're Joe Pesci. I was like, I'm the George Clooney. What are you talking about? I'm going to be the George Clooney of our group.
But, oh, my goodness. That's cool, though.
But, again, it's kind of going with my goals for this year. Trying to travel more, trying to do more things. I've had some interesting experiences. I don't know if I brought it up on here like the last time.
You didn't bring up the
cartel.
Most recent thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping you will. You should talk about that before.
So okay. When you and I were young, graduating from high school in 1996.
95 for me.
95 for you. 95, 96. Yeah. I think we graduated the same year then, didn't we? And so being here on the border, we used to go like to Juarez every weekend. We used to go to Juarez like 3 times a week. And
the drinking age isn't 21 in Mexico.
You pay $7, drink and drown. Mm-hmm. And then around the turn of the century, around 2000, 2005, maybe around 2005, that's when the drug war in Mexico got nuts. Like oil barrels being found with bodies chopped up, stuffed in them, and like hundreds of women missing. Heads were everywhere.
Like they were like quite literally hanging bodies from bridges.
And not that the drug war has ended.
It was always present. That's a problem.
Right.
Most people don't understand. It was always present.
But around 2005, there was an acceleration in the violence. It got and the violence hadn't gone away, but it kind of chilled out some.
I think it's when governments get involved and actually want to make an example of the cartels. That's when things get violent. And that's when the cartels will make examples and they will
I think in the Mexican cartel and all that, though, I think there's so many different factors. In Mexico, Mexico's broken up into many different regions. It's all very regional, different cartels in each region. Then you have the different, Anyway, there's like a lot of different things, but so I was like, you know what? So I've been hesitant to go back to Juarez since then because like it's dangerous.
Well, yeah.
Like, even back in our days, there's always called the thing called the mordida. You get pulled over, you give the cop a 20, you're good.
You're always going to have to bribe your way out of...
But around 2005 to 2010, there was like legit kidnappings, foreigner people being kidnapped, like crazy stuff. And so those like they're like, don't go to Mexico. So for the last 10, 15 years, like, don't go to Mexico. It's violent. It's crazy. Like nuts.
Yeah.
And so I've avoided that. And recently I was like, I want to go. And I know people down there. They tell me how great life is and that it's not that bad. You don't go look for trouble.
Yeah.
Don't go look for it. If you want to be a part of it, you will. If you avoid it, you should be fine. And so I went on a date out there in Juarez. And so one random night, I go on a date to Juarez like about 3 weeks ago.
Was it 3 weeks
2
ago?
to 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so, and I don't know if this is 100% right, but I think this is what was going on. So there's a new cartel that's up and coming. Like it's a big cartel because the one we knew was the Sinaloa cartel, El Chapo and all that. Well, there's this one from the south from I think like Michoacan or Guanajuato, the new generation cartel. And one of their leaders, I think, was arrested. I think they caught him. He was arrested. I don't think it was one that was already arrested. And then he was in Mexico, a prison around Mexico City or something. And then he was shipped to the prison in Juarez. And so I was going to go to Mexico, Juarez on a Thursday night, took Uber to the border.
It was such a random day, too.
Random day.
Yeah.
I was going to cross the border and then get the Uber on the other side of town because you can get Uber over there.
Yeah.
So I got Uber there, and I was going to go to a nice area town called Los Misiones. It's like there's a mall, a restaurant, hotels, really pretty part of town. And I went over there, and I didn't know what was going on. Well, apparently they brought in some cartel leader to the prison in Juarez. And the Juarez prison was notified, we're coming to town. And I don't know if they told them that we're coming for this guy or something or whatnot, but we're coming. And they were warned, don't call the Federales or the National Guard. And of course, the prison says they called the Federales and the National Guard, like, oh my God, this is going down, like, da, da, da. And so there was a prison riot. 3 or 4 prisoners were killed. And then, so what happened was I go over there and go on this date, go to Starbucks, and we go to a restaurant and all that. And people are acting funny. Like even the Starbucks is like 7 o'clock in the evening, roughly-ish.
Yeah.
And they lock their doors and like, oh, it's for security. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Huh. You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's bizarre. All right, whatever. And then it was around 7:30, like, okay, we're going to go ahead and close, for security. Everybody has to leave. And I'm like, oh. And again, it doesn't click with me, but I'm like, oh, okay, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
happening.
it's a different country. It could happen. Okay, whatever. Yeah. It's like different working hours. I don't know. So then we go to the mall where this really nice restaurant's at. So we go over there and we're walking across. The mall just empties out. And we go to this restaurant and we're just going over there. We're eating, having a good time, blah, 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 blah. And it was this restaurant kind of like has like a bar in there too. It's supposed to be open till like midnight. It's supposed to be a really nice place. A lot of people fully go there, but it wasn't full. And like around 9 o'clock, the whatchamacallit, the waiter, he says, I'm going to bring you your ticket. You guys are going to have to close out. We're going to close early. And I'm like, oh. And I tell the girl, I was like, aren't they open late? She goes, I don't know. And I was like, isn't that weird? She goes, and she's like, well, not really. And I'm like, no. I'm like, okay. Like, I'm like, oh, not a big deal. Okay, whatever.
Well, if she's not rattled, I guess.
She kind of knew, but she didn't say.
Yeah.
And so then, like, we're just, they bring you your ticket and you're still there just chilling, drinking, whatever. And then he comes, can you pay so that way we can close down and we can leave? And then he comes, I'm going to box your food so you guys can go. And I'm like, then it's like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then we go outside the restaurant, they close the door. And at this point, I'm starting to notice people are freaking out. They're like, we got to go. And then even the waiter, before we leave, he says, look, there's been reports of people like in the parking lots driving around and they have guns and da-da-da. And I'm like, oh, huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, And I'm like, and it started to like something like in my mind is starting to
Something's happening.
something's going down.
Yeah.
Because you can see people are noticeably starting to be freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we walk out of that restaurant, we sit down outside, and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, it's the cartel thing. They're all coming to town. And I'm like, huh? And at this time, I really didn't know what was going on. And she goes, yeah, the cartels are coming to town. We have to go, like, now. And, like, so we try to get Uber. We try to get taxi. Couldn't get anything. Like, nobody wanted to be on the streets at all.
Yeah.
And we're there, like, an hour and a half. It's already, like, 10:30. And there's a couple that are, they're not walking. They're, like, rushing out the door, and we like stop and like, hey, you know what? We need a ride. She lives on this side of town. I need to get to this bridge, the border. Mm-hmm. And this guy's like, look, I'm going that way. I can drop her off. He tells me, he goes, I can drop you off here, which is like a long way from the bridge. He goes, I could drop you off close to it, but he goes, we got to go. And he goes, we'll wait a few minutes. And she's like, okay, yeah, just wait. Let's see if we can get an Uber. And like people are like freaking out.
Wow.
And so I told her, she's like, well, if I get a ride with him, what? She goes, what are you going to do? She goes, do you want to stay at a hotel? I was like, yeah, I'll tell you what, stay with me. Let's just go across the street to a hotel and I'll just get us a hotel and we'll be good.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, how are you going to get there? I was like, it's across from the parking lot. I'm just going to go the Holiday Inn. We'll just go run over there.
She didn't even want to walk.
She didn't want to leave the building at all. She was like, no, we can't run outside and go run to the hotel. I was like, why not? She was like, we can't. Like, I was like, okay, that's weird.
So you guys were inside the building the whole time, though. Thank God you guys weren't, like, in the parking lot.
Right. So she's like, no, we cannot go outside, like, at all. We can't do this. And then at the last minute, like, an Uber accepted her request. And it turned out the Uber driver was driving across town to his house, and he lived in her neighborhood. Uh-huh. So, like, when you accept, like, when I do deliveries, I can see where I'm going and all that.
Yeah.
And he saw that somebody needed a ride to his neighborhood, so he was going to give her a ride, take the job, because he was going that way anyway.
Well, yeah.
And so we tell that couple, like, oh, the Uber's here. And they're like, they took off. They booked it. They left.
Yeah.
And so me and her go to the Uber, and she's like, hey, can you just drop him off at the bridge? He just needs to get across. Please. It's like on the way. Like, it's not on the way, a straight shot to their side of town, but it's like kind of on the way.
Yeah.
And so... And I said, look, I'll give you an extra $20, whatever, it's fine. And he's like, okay, everybody just get in. He just takes off. And so Juarez, Mexico, it's a big town.
It is a big town.
It's a big town.
It's very big, and it takes a minute to get all the way through it.
Right. So
it's so deceiving because what you see at the border is not the full extent of Juarez. Like you'll drive for a while.
Right. So I was kind of taken aback that the whole city was shutting down. Like,
wow.
Like, Juarez, Mexico. I'm going to just look up demographics of Juarez, Mexico, give you an idea. Juarez, it's on the border of El Paso. It's 124 square miles. What?
I believe it. It's crazy.
2.5 million people. Kind of a big town. Kind of not a small town. It's kind of a big town.
I just always remember us when we were little driving through it. So we can go ahead and go visit our family in Zacatecas. Uh-huh. And I always remember just getting through Juarez. It was like, shit, you're never going to finish. Right. It took a really long time to get out of the city.
El Paso, Texas, 679,000 people. So, let me see, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque, New Mexico, what's the population? Its population is 500,000 people. Mm. Wow, so Juarez is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times bigger than Albuquerque. I didn't realize it was that much bigger than,
It's a legit city. It takes a really long time, I'm telling you.
I didn't realize it was that big.
And it shut down. The whole city shut down.
Wow. Phoenix, Arizona. 1.6 million people. So Juarez, Mexico is twice the size of Phoenix.
That's crazy.
And Phoenix is big. Mm-hmm. That blows my mind. I didn't realize it was that big. Twice the size of Phoenix. So the whole town shuts down. And I know people here in Cruces that have family over there. So
many people here.
So I'm messaging a friend of mine. I said, dude, I'm in Juarez. Do you know what's going on? And my friend's she's older than I. She goes, yes, Mark. She goes, I forgot. I didn't realize it was going down tonight. She goes, you got to get out of there. She tells me, my family there, her parents, her brother, all that, they're at home with the lights off, and they're all just sleeping on the ground.
Oh wow!
They're like
so
they're afraid.
They're not
afraid.
going to be caught in crossfire,
Right? They tell her. She says, "Mi jefes, I anda en Juarez." She goes, "My boss is in Juarez," and they're like, "Where is he? We'll go get him." But she's like, they were like, "We don't want to go out, but if we need to, we'll go look for him." And so finally the Uber guy gets us, and I get to he dropped me off right at the bridge. I walk across, and as soon as I walk across, I'm like, oh,
holy.
It's like
shit.
It's just like the weight was lifted.
Yeah.
And so the girl messages me. She goes, "Yeah, the guy dropped me off." She goes, "We heard some gunshots." So while we're driving through Juarez, though, it's like a 20-minute drive from the place where I went to the bridge. The streets are empty. And like when you drive through Juarez, Mexico, the streets are packed all the time. Even like at midnight, they're always packed.
Yeah.
People driving like madmen.
I know.
Empty.
Holy crap.
All you see are the federales that are standing in the back of the trucks with the guns. And then you see big caravans of all the buses, all the like buses that transport people. They're all driving together. And I was like, the buses are running. He goes, "Yeah, but they're all running together because apparently some buses got caught by themselves and they shot them up and burned them down. So they're all trying to get back wherever they have to go. And they're all like caravanning together for safety."
Wow.
Right. So like in my mind, I'm like, oh, I didn't understand the severity of what's going on. So this cartel boss was taken to the prison there. And once I got back to El Paso, I met a guy doing Uber on the other side that lives in Juarez.
Oh, man.
And so I'm telling him, I'm like, "What's going on, dude?" And he's like, "It's getting crazy over there right now." I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Well, they brought their cartel leader." And we started exchanging messages. And he's the one that starts showing me the messages. He goes, "The cartels started sending out like public service announcements." Well, we would consider a PSA here on WhatsApp and Telegram and all that. They start sending out all these messages of like, every business needs to be shut down by 10. Nobody on the street or you're going to get it.
Oh, wow.
And there's another message I think I sent you and Dario.
Yeah.
And did you hear that? They're saying like all the cartel people from all around the towns, all in the area, they're all coming to duke it out in Juarez, and it's going to be worse than the street war in Culiacan, which was kind of a bad one. And I'm like, oh, what? And he's all showing me. He goes, "I just got this video where they started rushing into convenience stores, shooting them up and burning them." And I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah, they were shooting. I know people died.
People died.
I know. It's just...
Yeah.
It's random because you hadn't really heard anything. I mean, I haven't heard anything in a really long time.
Yeah. And it's funny because he said that. He goes, people forgot about this because it's been about 10, 15 years since there's crazy violence. And so people got comfortable.
Yes,
and then all of a sudden, like a bunch of cartel people roll in, and they start regulating. And it was a quick reminder of no, this is still going on.
It's still happening. I'm sure it's always. I mean, clearly, it's always been happening. But,
so it was a trip. It was a trip to experience that. That's all I can say. It was a trip to experience that, and
that's crazy. Anyway, so let's figure out how we're gonna wrap this one up. What is it? I think for the most part, we like to just.
I was just looking up the population of Monterey.
Yeah,
where I'm going, 1.1. It's a half the size of Juarez.
1.1.
It's only. I thought it was bigger, but it's only half. So apparently, I guess Juarez is bigger than what we realize.
So when I was little, my parents when they first got together.
Oh my!
They were living in Mexico.
Oh my goodness!
Know. So we weren't far from Monterey.
Monterey.
So I actually grew up near the area. I'd have to say, like my first 3 years of childhood, I lived in Mexico.
Yeah, but that was a different time, though. Even though there was drugs, cocaine,
and I
marijuana,
see pictures and stuff like that. I was a little girl living in Mexico, and I was born in the United States, but I was living in Mexico for my first few years of life.
My dad always told me back then there was always a certain respect for like the families and the women and the children, and you didn't go after them.
It's just bananas the way things have just
It's kind of
out of
crazy.
control.
Like, there's this guy, Ed Calderon. He was a cop in down there in Tijuana, and he says, he goes, I'm a veteran of the Mexican drug war. And nobody calls it that, but it is a drug war.
It is a drug war.
Because you have a paramilitary group. You have whatever cartel is grown at the time. So like 5-10 years ago, it was Sinaloa cartel. Mm-hmm. They had their men that were armed that were like paramilitary. Mm-hmm. Then you had the Zetas, and the Zetas were actually trained by American Special Forces to combat cartels, but then they made their own group. They were their own paramilitary. Mm-hmm. Now you have this new group called the New Jalisco, the Jalisco Nuevo Genera, the new generation, and you have them. So they put steel plating on vehicles to make their tanks. They have 50 caliber weapons. It's this one reporter was saying that these cartels are growing in size and complexity, that they are rivaling or are more powerful than a lot of small countries.
That's crazy.
And then you have the Mexican government that they converted. I don't know what military force they converted, but now they have their National Guard and they have the Marines, and they're always trying to combat it too. So it's kind of curious how even though
Mexico has its own problem within its own country.
It does.
I mean, honestly, no one's going to go. It's sad. No one's at war with Mexico. Poor Mexico has its own.
It's funny because they
have their own issues, man.
It's like the Mexican government does policing actions against the cartels, but they're not like openly at war against the cartels. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If they were fully at war against cartels, they would fully mobilize, and they would be fighting the cartels head on. Whereas right now, they only respond when the cartels flare up. Mm-hmm. So they only do like policing actions. It's kind of interesting.
It's a weird
It's
but
a weird dynamic.
Almost it is a weird dynamic. And being so close to the border, it's only like what, 50 miles, 50 minutes.
And just to, like, okay, so I've always wondered,
far.
And I think this year I've kind of gotten a better idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
What's the allure of America? Right? You talk about, you can come work and all that. Well, you can work down there. Well, why do people risk so much to come to the United States? Well, okay,
safety.
So safety is one of them.
Safety.
Women. So this person I'm talking to down there is telling me, I just got a 3-bedroom house and I'm going to go rent it, but it costs a lot. And I was like, well, how much is rent? And I think the expensive house, once I converted it from pesos to American dollars, the one that was really nice, was like $250 a month.
Wow.
The cheaper one was like $150, $200 a month. Mm-hmm. And so, this person got the cheaper one. And I was like, okay, so it's $250. I was like, God, $250, that's like a quarter or even less than a quarter of the cost of what somebody pays for a house here. Mm-hmm. Legit. And so I started thinking about, I was like, and then like going to Colombia, you start seeing the exchange rates. Gosh, like you could work in the United States and your money goes so far down there. Mm-hmm. Now, things are expensive here. Gallon of milk's like $5. Down there, a gallon of milk might be like $1 best. You know what I mean? A loaf of bread here might be $1. Down there might be 20 cents.
Yeah.
So your money goes so much further. Rent here for a 3-bedroom house can go anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000. Down there, it goes for $250.
I haven't paid $250 for rent since I was in college.
And that's like a studio.
And that was cheap.
And then, so this person I'm talking to works out what they call the maquilas. Mm-hmm. There's like an American company or a foreign company that sets up a big plant. And this plant is big. I was surprised how big it was. And so this person works like 12-hour days, like 4 days out of the week. I was like, wow, 12-hour shifts is tough. And so for for 48 hours worth of work, this person only gets something like $80 a week.
Wow.
$80 for 48 hours of work.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know, where's my phone? What does that even equate to?
Jeez.
Do you know what I mean? So so you're working for, let's say it's $80 just for simple math. $80 divided by 48, that's like $1.60 an hour.
That's why you hear stories of people who live in El Paso renting in Juarez because you could rent for super cheap and just go to work every day.
I mean,
across the
bridge
border.
traffic and all
But
that.
still,
but still,
but you could if you well. People do it all the time, though.
People
That's
do
the
all
thing,
the time,
though.
though.
People always come to the States to work.
people
in
go to
El
Mexico to
Paso,
retire.
and then they just cross the border at the end of the day, go back home. They do it all the time.
It's crazy to think. So this person down there is like, okay, I have to get food, I have to pay utilities, cell phone, pay $250 a month, and I'm only making $80 a week times 4. That's $360. So after 360 minus 250, that's only $110 to pay your bills, groceries, whatever you need.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
That's wild.
We're making $12.50 here. Granted, people struggle here making $12.50 because things are expensive here, but I can see why people do that.
$11.50 minimum wage.
$11.50.
Yeah, $11.50 minimum
But
wage.
you can totally tell why people. I mean, you're making $11.50 minimum here versus $1.60 there at best.
Yeah.
Some people make more, some make less, depending on what they're doing. Like how, and then you go to okay. So the Mexican peso is like 20 pesos to $1 US. And then I just went to Colombia recently. The Colombian peso is like 4,000 to 1.
Yeah, you're.
So I fed the 5 of us for like maybe no more than $15. 5 people for $15.
That's
Drinks,
crazy.
food, appetizers, everything. And I don't even think I paid $15. I must have paid less than that. You pay for 5 people here. You're paying. Take a guess. $100, $120,
More.
$140.
$150 if you're lucky.
So again, you start thinking about South American countries. Why do people want to come here? And maybe they're not going to get high tech jobs. Maybe they're not going to be college professors. They just want minimum wage jobs. And you're like, why are you risking it to come here? Well, if you're making minimum wage here, you're paying your bills, then you send $50 to your family in Colombia. You send $50 to your family in Mexico. That's like all your groceries for the week.
Yeah.
Minimally.
It's a lot. It's a lot of money when you're looking at it that way and you're looking at the exchange rate. Yeah.
So
it's a lot of money for
the cost reward benefit for people to come here, and then you have guys that come that work construction, get paid under the table, and they're probably getting like $20 an hour to do like cement work and all that. It pays for them. They're willing to take that chance to do hard labor to make $15, $18 an hour to do that hard labor, and then they pay their bills for a cheap trailer. And then they send $100 a week to their family.
Yeah.
And you know what their family can do with $100 a week down there? Like, it's you start adding the numbers. And it's like that's why they do it, because they know the value, like the monetary value. I think for us, we look at it. Oh, Mexicans are coming. They're taking our jobs. They're not taking my job. I'm not cleaning a house.
They're not taking the jobs that people want. I think.
Yeah. They're not taking our jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are coming.
I have to.
You have to potty?
Yeah, that's why I'm all getting antsy. Sorry.
You have to go poo? Number 2?
No, I have to pee. I drink a lot.
Oh, Jeanette.
Oh.
Oh, Jeanette's got a small bladder. Oh,
so
she's got a
cute.
potty. Jeanette, are you all rocking your chair?
I'm all wrap it up or pause.
Yeah, my eyes are yellow. My eyes are yellow.
I'm all pause. I can't take it anymore.
Okay, you go do your thing real fast,
Okay.
and then we'll find a good wrap-up point.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Socorro's like, tell.
Game off. Game off.
off.
Game off.
Game off.
And pause for a few minutes. Go.
Okay.
Go, Jeanette. Go.
Hold on.
Go. Run. And then we'll find a good place to wrap it up.
Oh, yes.
Okay, game on. We're back.
Game on.
Game on. So that's weird. I got an acknowledgement for a receipt,
Yeah, just like,
and I can't
On our
find my
break.
wallet.
yeah.
But it's weird. I mean, I canceled all my credit cards yesterday.
Thank God. But still, imagine if you didn't. Well,
I-
they're obviously spent your cash now.
Well, and it's weird that receipt. It's a legit receipt from Bed Bath and Beyond,
Oh, Bath and Body Works?
or Bath and Body Works. Yes,
Okay.
it's a legit receipt. The address is right. The store number is right. But there's no charge. But what I think it is there was a it was like, I think it might have been like a test run to see if my card was working. So what I can do, I can call. So I only had like 2 companies, maybe 3 credit cards. and I can call them up and say like, hey, you know what? I just canceled my cards. I think somebody tried to use one because I got a strange receipt.
Well, it's kind of interesting too because, okay, so they purchased something small and it was never even charged.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, they could have been testing.
They could have been testing.
Like, well, can we even use these?
So let me think here. I don't have anything else in here in terms of, I mean, okay. Oh, my Bath and Body Works rewards. Finish your enrollment. Huh. 536. I think somebody was trying to use my credit card, but it was already turned off. Interesting.
Good thing that you turned them off.
I turned them off when I did.
Yeah, otherwise it'd be wreaking havoc on your
your
cards.
Waiting to think like, oh, maybe I just left it here at my house. But no. Let me think. Do I have any? So like modern technology. I was able to cancel my cards immediately.
Thank God.
Right. Order new ones. They'll be here in a week. But
I had something like that happen, but not because I lost my wallet. I ended up going to Belen, New Mexico for training a couple of years ago. And I think what happened is my card the information got hacked maybe when I went to a gas station. Because then I started getting all of these charges from gas stations.
Wow.
And they they used the money on my card and then they put me in the hole.
That sucks.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my God.
You know who was really good?
You get your money back, but it takes a while.
It's unnerving.
Yes, it is unnerving. And then not only that, is like I was about to get paid. Luckily I have multiple accounts. So thank God it was just one account. So I wasn't completely wiped or anything, but it is unnerving because you never know. They had my card numbers because I still had the card.
Well, I'm glad I have like my my receipts or my main card and my main card and my ID in a separate place than just you know what I mean.
So did you lose out on your ID and all that stuff too?
I have it here.
Nice.
Yeah, so I don't keep my ID in my wallet because my wallet I never really carried with me anywhere. And now I'm all trying to look at my emails because this is my main email where all my charges go to, and so I don't see anything in here as far as any other purchases. You know what I mean? But
yeah. Well, it seems like you're going to have to go do some investigation on this.
I'm going to call up the company. So like I made a purchase using my Apple Card online. Maybe like a year ago. And I think the site I went to was not the actual site. And they got my card number.
Oh.
It was like a fake site. And so I called up Apple and I started getting charges fast.
Yeah.
So I called up Apple. They put a stop on my card and they I got my money back from the few charges. And it's funny, like every month or so, I get notifications of charges still in my old Apple Card number.
Oh, wow.
So like just recently, as much as July. Okay, the last one was July. They try to run $4 on it. So what they try to do, if somebody steals your credit card or something like that, what they try to do, my understanding is, they always try to run a small charge through first to see if it's still working. To
test it.
And then they'll use it.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I don't keep any important information in my wallet either.
Yeah.
Don't keep, like I don't even carry my Social Security card on me.
No, I don't carry my Social.
And people do, and I used to also. I think maybe the last time I lost my credit card, I stopped using my Social like that.
Yeah.
That was interesting. That shocked me when I saw that e-receipt. Because like when you use a credit card at a store, they'll want your they'll want your email for e-receipts.
Yep.
And then they'll keep sending them to you.
Yep.
So somebody used one of my credit cards, and I'm pretty sure I know which credit card it was. So I'll call that company up here in a minute, and I'll just investigate.
Crazy. That just happened. Your Juarez thing happened. Why are these things happening to you?
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm glad that yesterday when you were saying you couldn't find it, I'm glad that you took action. Just canceled.
I just
could have gone really bad.
because I'm getting ready to take my trip. I was like, okay, if I cancel my cards, reorder them, I might get 2 of them back in time for my trip.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, just screw it, just cancel them. If you find your wallet, because I have lost my wallet before, and then I find it like in the cushions like a week later,
Yeah.
or like an obscure spot underneath my seat where the rail is, you know,
At this
and it's
point.
like wedged there. And I was like, it's going to come up. It's going to come up. And I was frustrated on Friday. And on Friday, I was debating it, canceling it. And then Saturday I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to cancel them. The cards come in quick. They're not my main cards. I don't have to cancel like, you know, my OnlyFans website because, you know, it has my card was stolen. Or that's your OnlyFans. I don't know.
Oh my
No. But I didn't like my main card I used to pay bills. I didn't have to cancel that because I carried that one on me all the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, fine, whatever. You know what I mean? I'll just cancel these credit cards I kept in my wallet. I had like 4 credit cards in there that I use in case. I have 1 credit card I use when I go to Mexico. Only one. I have one I'll use for like miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah.
And those are the ones I keep in there. I keep the rest of the credit cards somewhere else.
That's great.
So I actually have like multiple wallets. I'll keep cash in this wallet unless I take my wallet that I have those 4 credit cards in. I'll put my cash in that wallet and I'll carry that one on me. And then I have my ID and my main credit card somewhere else, and I'll carry that on me somewhere else. So that way, if I lose my wallet, I still have my ID.
That's actually smart. I need one of your holders.
So yeah, my cell phone
Let me see that.
has a holder in it.
I like it.
And then in here, I'll keep stuff like my bank card and this one, like, because your cell phone, like, it's just so important.
Yeah.
Like, it has all of your personal info, whether you want it or not, right?
Yeah.
So I keep my ID in here because in this one credit card, because even if I go out like clubbing, maybe I won't want to take my wallet with me.
But you'll have your phone.
I'll have my phone on me.
So is the actual case like that, or is it just
It's the actual
something?
case.
Oh, cool.
And it was like, God, it's been so many years that I had a Galaxy Note, like the original Note, and it came in a case that folded over like a notebook. And on the inside, it had pockets. And ever since then, I was like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was so ever since then, I've like, well, I'm gonna get these cases, and I always keep at least that one card in my ID in this phone. I have my wallet that I'll keep cash in, some extra cash, certain credit cards, and then I have a wallet I keep like in a desk at home or something that has all my other credit cards.
But it's at home. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I make it complicated, but I feel like now it's paying off.
Yeah.
Then
Seems like it has.
I have one of those wallets that's long that you just put your cash in, you put your checkbook in.
Yeah.
And I have that one separate.
That's good. Well, now you're gonna have to figure out what the hell.
I'm totally gonna figure that out. Oh, Eric just messaged me. I was inviting him to come on board.
Oh, is he ready to come now?
I know, right?
What the heck, dude? You missed the party.
Oh, he's trying to get ready for the week. It is Sunday.
It is.
Well, we talked about a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
It was a nice one.
It's kind of fun to.
It's always fun to wrap around on the hauntings and stuff.
I know. It always comes back though, doesn't it?
Because
we
it's
always
never
talk
ending.
about it
It's
because
always in your
there's
face.
always like something else that happens.
We need to plan something haunting.
Okay.
And something, I don't know. I always wanted to go to the Concordia Cemetery.
Oh, where is that at?
In El Paso.
In El Paso?
And it's supposed to be some stuff there. I don't know. So New Mexico's super old. And it's been inhabited for centuries. So there's so much here that's haunted that you can go see.
Yeah.
Then there's like so many spooky things in terms of like lights in the sky and all that. So there's a lot to see. So we could totally plan something out like that. But we'll see.
I like it.
We'll see.
I like it.
Or maybe we'll go do something at your office. My new office is free of weird stuff.
Well, my drink is empty. How's yours?
Mine's empty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. That's it, friends.
That's it, friends.
Wrapping it up.
Oh gosh, we'll do this again. I'll be like, so I'm gonna take off to Monterey.
Maybe the weekend after we can do our dirty martini.
Yeah.
Oh no, our dirty mimosa
Mimosa
idea.
Yeah.
So
That'll be
Yeah.
fun. We'll bring Dario back if he hasn't moved off to Minnesota.
If he hasn't moved.
I know.
But yeah, it's a good idea. Just
And,
kind of testing.
And there's all sorts of stuff to use. I should have brought my little notepad, but I forgot.
Well, you have your old faithful computer here.
Yeah, well,
good.
I try to jot current events down that I want to touch base on.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to do that more, but like I say, I tend to leave that notebook in my office.
So it's over there. All your good ideas are over
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes on. I think there's a lot of noteworthy things to touch base on. Oh, it's like we didn't touch on student loans.
there. No, we didn't.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah, kind of curious to see how that's going to roll.
How's it going to play off?
Yeah, I'll probably
You
have
know,
more info by
There's
our next podcast.
There's a lot of bad politics going on with that right now. Mm-hmm. People are saying what the impact of the economy. I was reading a Wall Street Journal where they were talking to analysts from Goldman Sachs, and they're like, "Well, it's a lot of money, but it's not big enough to impact the economy." I read another. I don't know if it was a Wall Street Journal or if it was another article. They're like, "Well, the current administration is trying to buy votes by winning people over." That's a way to win people over. Mm-hmm. So I read a lot about politics in regards to what it means about the student loans and how people feel about it. I don't know what the answer to that is.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I think higher education is important. I think we have a great educational system in terms of it. It's super expensive, and I don't know if that's. I mean, it's probably by what do you call that when it's done on purpose? By design. But yeah, I don't know the long-term effects. I don't know if it cheapens the idea of education. But there's people that start careers off,
and they started in debt.
Super in debt.
They started in debt. So I mean, there's that side too.
You look at certain European countries that have really high tax bases, I think the standard tax amount in the United States is around 30%, 35%, something like that. But then you go to certain European countries and they're taxed at 60%. So they lose 60 cents off the dollar to taxes.
That's
but
crazy.
they have 100% free education.
Yeah.
So, and they're great countries and all that. So, but I don't know the answer to that, but do you know what I mean? I don't know the answer. Is it better? Is it worse? I don't know. Is it worse that we pay more taxes?
And that just recently happened. So, there's going to be a lot of information
around
that, a lot of opinions flying around in the next
absolutely.
week or so. So we definitely need to, I'm kind of curious to know how that's going to
I'm
kind of
going to be
way
curious to maybe talk to some more people in Mexico and ask them about the drug war down there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You'll have you'll have to inform us how your trip goes.
Yeah, I'm excited about that trip too.
Over some dirty mimosa.
I like it. Anything else worth talking about in the future going on?
Hauntings. I'm just kidding.
I know, hauntings never end.
You never know what's going to be in the horizon.
I think the takeaway though is set your goals, aim high, and go get it.
And that's what you've been doing. You've had some things on your bucket list. You know what I would like to talk about maybe next time is a bucket list. Not a lot of people actually have that. I think that's a loose used term.
I think it's loosely used. You're right.
I think so, but I'm kind of curious to know, I was thinking about that. People should have a list of things that they want to do in their life.
It's almost like there has to be two bucket lists. You have your fun bucket list, and you have a very serious one.
Yeah, I kind of
home, retirement,
kind of like to
jumping out of airplanes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I think that'll be good. I think if Dario's in town, he might have a lot of good insight because he's a very goal-setting kind of guy.
He is.
Very logically, he's a planner.
Yeah.
He knows how to plan stuff. Very operation-minded. I think that would be really good. And it just seems like it never ends. I mean, Lord knows there's tons of stuff in outer space I've been keeping up with.
Yeah,
solar activity.
It's
a
dark
lot of
out
solar.
night,
I know.
So I don't know. Keep my eyes to the sky.
You know what would be cool to do on a bucket list?
Huh.
Is go see the aurora.
The Aurora Borealis?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
That would be beautiful.
That would be cool. Alaska,
I'm sure
I've always wanted to go see it.
This year, if you're living up there, it would be insane with all the current solar activity. Climate change might be something worth talking about. Mm-hmm. I was listening to an interview with Clay Parker and the other guy regarding Man Bear Pig. Mm-hmm. South Park. No, not South Park. Yes,
The
South
creators from South Park.
Park.
Yeah.
That they made fun of Al Gore in his movie. What was his movie he made? Al Gore, something denial or unpleasant truth. Mm-hmm. And so the way they made fun of him was by making this man bear pig. How crazy and outlandish it was, but how their opinion has changed about climate change and that it's real. Like the climate is changing. And so they didn't recant what they said, but that they made a new episode of South Park where there is a man bear pig. And the kids have to fight man bear kid. I remember I've seen this. I didn't know that was the meaning of it, but that it was taken very well that they were like, oh, man bear pig is real. But man bear pig being an analogy for climate change.
How weird.
And so they did the second episode like, it is real. Oh my God. And the kids had to deal with it. And so, there was like an interview with Al Gore and he says, yeah, South Park, they came out with a new man bear pig episode saying that it was real, kind of that their mind had changed on climate change. And that's kind of a cool thing because it's funny because you may have a mindset when you're young. Mm-hmm. You might have a mindset in the 80s, 90s or something, but you're a human being and you're allowed to grow and you're allowed to change your mindset. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I think that happens all the time.
Right. But I think like if you get into politics or if you're a celebrity.
Well, I think that happens as we go through different phases in our life.
Right. But like you have like with politicians or celebrities like, well, in 1980, you said this. Well, in 1980, I was 21. I was an idiot.
People can be so unforgiving.
Right. And as we get older, I don't know if we become wiser or smarter, but our thought process definitely changes.
It changes.
And you become more thoughtful.
Yeah,
you become
I think so.
more aware.
Because we have more life experience.
Even with like climate change, I can say like, I didn't want to say like climate change is real, but I know for me, it was like the climate is bigger than us. I always thought that humans contributed to it, but I thought there are natural things occurring also that we can't control. And I think it's like, it's all culminating and we are seeing changes in the earth.
And I also think that, there's a lot of things that I think we can probably track now. Technology's gotten a lot better.
Oh, technology's gotten way better. You know what I mean?
And it's not just hearsay. People can see it.
People can see it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a big deal.
And maybe, and one thing we talked about today is like humanity's been around for like 40,000 years, something crazy like that. And in our lifetime, for people from like the 70s to current talking about climate, that's only like 50 years. Mm-hmm. Who knows what the climate was like 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago?
It's true.
And like the Mongolians invaded China in like 15 something, 14 something. We don't know what the climate was. Maybe it was like major droughts and all that. Maybe that's why the Mongolians were invading everybody because they needed food because it was a major drought. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there's larger Earth weather cycles that we didn't know about that come and go, and we're seeing the effects of that too. I think us as people, we pigeonhole ourselves into ideas, and it's easy for us to lose sight on the bigger picture of things. We're just like a moment in time. We're just a blink in time.
Well, that's how it feels as the years go by.
Right.
It's just a blink.
It's just a blink. And who knows what the Earth was doing? The Earth is a living thing.
Yeah.
It is. Who knows what the Earth did 1,000 years ago? 20,000 years ago. They were saying that the Sphinx was built when the Egypt was lush and green. For the last 40 years of humankind, the Egypt has been a desert. Or 20,000 years, the Egypt has been like a harsh desert, right? Mm-hmm. But they're saying the Sphinx shows weathering patterns that it was built during like a time when Egypt was lush with water.
How crazy.
Right?
Oh.
I don't know. It's and those are things we could talk about, but I think it's definitely, and it's definitely worth investigating. But I definitely think probably a little bit longer than you wanted tonight. We were like, let's do a short one. Let's do a short one.
Well, it's just work.
It's just like
work.
It's just like when you go to the bar to go hang out and have some drinks, and you're like, let's go for 30 minutes.
And it's okay. It's definitely okay that it went a bit longer. Just It'll be fun to see how it goes here with your trip kind of curious.
Yeah,
It'll be fun.
I'm excited.
It'll be fun for you
I'm
to
excited.
share that information.
I'm excited, and I definitely I definitely have a couple more trips, immediate trips planned through the end of the year.
Nice.
My two big trips I see coming, like goal setting. My two big trips I see coming up for me, like within next year. We'll probably be back to Medellin, but I want to do Costa Rica also.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that.
I've been wanting to see Costa Rica, and my friend in Medellin said, look, Costa Rica is very safe.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to do Costa Rica and Medellin. Those are very affordable trips if you buy the airplane ticket in advance. Mm-hmm. If you buy like a month in advance out of like say Juarez Airport,
Yeah.
you save like an instant $500.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
It's affordable.
I'm gonna do that. Those might be my two big trips coming up. I've been having an itch to Hawaii, but I don't know if I'll do Hawaii next year. I've been enjoying Latin America a lot.
Yeah.
And I think
There's a lot to see.
I think through next year I'll probably continue to go through Latin America. Like I say, Medellin, Costa Rica. I wouldn't mind pushing further south to like Peru or something like that, but I don't know where that fits in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
Like I say, immediately I think Medellin and Costa Rica have been my two big things. But goals, and that's the point of it. Goals,
Yeah.
like one thing we always talk about is like, how do you be a leader and how do you do stuff? Part of it is like setting goals.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, your goals. Have you been able to attain your goals? I mean, I know you set some goals in your life, right?
Yeah, I have set some goals in my life.
What has happened for you?
Well, for me this year, I wanted to do something different as far as a role. I just felt like I was in a position where I felt like I could do more. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
And that happened for you?
Yeah, of course.
What's your next goal? And congratulations.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm very excited. My next goal, obviously,
Okay.
There's career goals in the future.
Well,
but,
hold on. It's August.
Uh-huh.
We're coming up at the end of August. It's going to be September in a couple of days. So we have September, October, November, December. We have 4 months till the end of the year. Any goals till the end of the year through December? Something for you? Just something.
Nothing. No, actually nothing other than reconnect with my friend. I want to do that. I want to do a big trip next year. I haven't gone on a major vacation in a while.
I think a big trip would be good. But I think that would be good, like a quarterly goal,
yeah.
a small goal. So
my small goal would be visiting my friend, which I wanted to do. And
is it like a little bit of a trip?
It's
your brother's Texas, right?
Yeah, I just want to go see him.
Texas is a fun trip, and that would be a good like quarterly trip goal thing. Yeah, that'd be good.
And then next year I want to plan going to Europe again.
Wow.
That's and now with everything that's kind of falling in line, it's going to happen. I know it is.
So what I heard on Undercover Boss was that one of the bosses said they're going to send their employees to go eat at a restaurant in Paris on the top of the Eiffel Tower, and he says, "Well, I pulled strings to get you up there, ASAP." But he said to get to that restaurant, there's a 5-year waiting list.
Oh my God!
I was thinking about that. I was like,
why don't you make the reservation now?
Make the reservation now and make a goal and eat at the top of the Eiffel Tower like in 5 years.
How fun!
That would be a legit, like a little bit longer term of a goal, but do like a trip to France, but already have that in place to eat at the top of the Eiffel Tower. How cool would that be?
That would be cool. My sister was actually in Paris a week ago.
Yeah?
Yeah, for my niece's birthday.
Dude, that's cool.
I know. Europe, I just want to see more of it.
Uh-huh.
So I'd like to do that next year.
I wonder how much it would cost to fly out of Mexico if it's still affordable.
Interesting. That would be kind of fun.
I would wager to check the prices online for like just pick up a mock date 3 months out and just see what a flight costs to go to Paris from here.
I bet you it's not that much. Much more. It'd be
like
more
versus
here.
Out of Albuquerque, Denver.
Yeah.
My buddy drove there to fly from Denver to Paris.
Yeah.
And he saved like $800.
That's great.
Yeah.
And to drive to Denver isn't that much.
No, I mean, it's just like a 7-8 hour drive, but I mean, to save $800.
12. It's actually a 12-hour drive from Las Cruces.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So
I drove
between
Denver.
him and his girlfriend, so it's like $1,000 saving. So that would be worth it. But
the 12 hours you can do in a day. It's not a bad drive.
It's not a bad drive.
No, and that's how long it takes for me to roughly when I go see my brother.
Right.
I'm like 11, 12 hours on the road.
You know what I just read? Something called quiet resigning.
Quiet resigning.
It's where people don't quit their job,
They just leave?
but they do less. If you don't demand more of them, they won't give you more, and they quietly resign. Now, there's another article I meant to read.
Oh, all right. No. Nope.
There's
We're not going to talk about this.
I know, but there was another article I meant to read.
Because actually, I want to talk more about this.
Right.
But I think that'd be something fun to talk about. Let's remember this.
Quiet resigning. There was an article I
gonna-
read where it said, like, I quietly resigned and I regretted it. So I need to look that article back up.
I'm going to put this on my reminders.
Yeah, so I think, with you and I and our roles that we are, that would be probably
That's
good for us to check
interesting.
out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I put it on my reminders. I do want to talk about this.
Yeah.
Let's read up on that.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool.
All right. Well, lots to do, lots to talk about. There's always lots to talk
There's
about.
always lots to talk about.
But I think that for now.
We'll do another show when I get back from
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is gonna be a busy week for me. So we'll do a show when I get back from Monterey.
I like Saturday mimosa.
Dude,
dirty
that was
mimosa.
fun. Early in the morning, get it
That
done.
was fun.
Let's call Daria up
fun.
and see if we can have a couple of drinks in the morning. It was nice. The
It was
mimosas in
fun.
the morning
Yeah,
was
and then-
nice.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was cool.
Get like a little cheese tray, make it a little something to
Oh,
do about
let's
it.
get fancy.
Have like a little centerpiece. Oh, hey.
Okay. Oh, hey. We're getting fancy now. Okay, I like it.
All right, dude.
All right. Well, it's been fun.
It's been fun. It was a
Yeah.
good night.
I like it.
I like it. It was a
All right.
good Sunday. I'll have this posted. By the time I get this posted, it'll probably be about minimum 5 days. Like sometimes it takes me a
while,
week.
yeah.
It's just with work and everything goes on, it takes a minute to edit it, to get it to save off the editing program. That's probably going to be the next investment I make is like the computer software because I need the memory and all that stuff.
And I promise I will find us a dumpster table.
Oh, it's got to be nice.
Oh, no.
That's a
of course
goal.
it's going to
Goal.
be nice.
Dumpster table.
Dumpster table. So
That's the goal.
Dumpster table.
There we go.
That's it.
I like it.
I like it too.
All right, Jeanette. You have a good
All right.
night. Later,
Bye.
homie. Bye.
Bye. So ridiculous.